But I just want to say this before we get started.
I don't want to talk about Brad's beard.
Oh my God. Now I have to talk about
No.
it.
Like,
You brought it
that's
up
where you're
after
going.
the recording thing came on.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, she's not changing it now.
Why does he look like someone named Chester that is really into banking in the 1950s? Like, did you see that facial, that mustache?
Yeah,
with
Couldn't let it all go.
You couldn't let it all go. You needed to keep some of it.
Where did it go?
That's what I said. First of all, why? Why to start? Just to start, why? Okay.
No.
And second, why not all of it? Because these choices are just, I'm concerned about you, Brad. Like, I'm concerned. And also, I hate it very much. I hate it all.
As I said in the chat, Barrio is clearly the Wario to Dario's Mario. That is what's happened.
Clearly.
Yeah, that was an instant connection I made.
Yeah. We were all thinking it.
I was just the one brave enough to say it.
You were borrowing the brain at that moment. I just didn't have it.
I see.
Excuse me.
You okay? Don't choke.
Breathe. Just breathe.
Well, I just got choked up thinking about how great Veronica and Katie's gameplay was this episode. Like,
I mean,
He says he's not going to give his opinion, and here we are starting.
This, to me, this is the highlight of the season thus far.
And
I'm just saying that as a fan.
Yeah.
Like,
I came in for a great episode. I lucked out. I feel like I've lucked out the last couple times where I've come on and maybe there's been like a string of like, the same person's getting thrown into the elimination every time, and then it's like, boom, Alex is here. Time for something new.
Yes. No, literally, when we were watching the episode and all the Katie Veronica stuff started happening, Rick goes, "Oh, this is the perfect episode for Alex to come on."
the universe works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'm excited. We got a lot to get into, so that's good.
Other question I was going to ask: did you watch Traitors this season?
Fuck yeah, I watched Traitors this season.
I'm not done.
God.
I've got
no spoilers. But I'm like actually obsessed with Traitors right now.
Me too.
It has
So
quickly
good.
become like one of my favorite reality shows. When season 1, I was like, this was good. You know what I mean? But then season 2 and 3 have like sucked me in.
Yes.
I love Gabby.
I've never heard of her before this show. Obsessed with her now.
Me
Obsessed
too.
with
I
her.
want to be her best friend.
She's
Literally.
hilarious.
She soul sister.
So
we
funny.
just
One thing, what was she wearing in that one episode? It looked like a suit
It
cover.
did.
Like a bag.
It was
Yeah.
almost like you would put on a car, like for the winter.
It was like a living room pillow cover.
It was a sleigh. That's what it was.
It was.
Yeah, she looked awesome.
I was
She
gonna
pulled it
say,
off,
I was
I'm not
gonna
gonna
say,
lie.
look, like it was weird. It was definitely weird, but she fucking killed it.
rocked
She
it.
still somehow looked amazing.
Yeah.
I did find it so funny though. I can't remember who asked her, but somebody was
Dylan.
like, "Can you put your hands up?" And she was like, "Fuck no."
I love her so much.
Who do you want to see on the challenge from that cast?
Ooh.
for sure.
Who?
Dylan.
That's a
Dylan
good
would be
pick.
Dylan would be cool. I think he'd be
Absolutely.
fun. I think he'd be fun
I
to
think he'd
see
do
on the
well.
show.
Yeah.
I think Rick's gonna come in with his highly controversial opinion.
Don't say
Let's
it.
hear it.
Don't
He's
even
gonna say it.
I don't want to hear it. Don't
It's
even. I don't
Tom,
want
is
to.
that
Nope.
right?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna keep
Tom.
cutting you off.
He wants Tom.
I want Tom on there so bad,
No.
dude. He like.
What if the show made fun of him constantly like the Traitors did? Would that be okay?
I don't want to
No,
give him the
she said no.
satisfaction of getting airtime.
I see the merit. By the end, when he got killed, I was like, oh, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I hated him all season, but then by the end, I was like, oh, he kind of, he did the thing.
So oblivious to everything, just wild accusations.
His last
left
words
and
were
right.
crazy. He was like, I was a pleasure to work with all season. Who are you getting that information from, sir?
Did you hear Dylan was on the Vile Files and I think it was him. I don't know. It was someone who
Yeah.
I saw on a podcast somewhere talking about how Tom was doing vocal warm-ups before that one challenge they had, and they were like, "Bro, it's not that serious."
Yes,
like, I just fucking can't with this guy. No,
I love him.
I watched Vanderpump Rules forever.
He was going for like the pitch and the note, and it was like you just need the words and the tone and like the melody. You're fine.
Yeah, dude.
See,
Oh my God.
I've never had any encounters with Tom Sandoval,
None.
so this was my very first.
I agree.
I've never seen him on any other show. I don't even know where he comes from. But I actually really liked him. I thought he was super funny.
He was funny.
I thought he was super
As
funny,
much as he
and
sucks.
he seems so like just aloof and goofy all the time that it was like
I appreciated that he was there to play too. Like some of these people just kind of show up and it's whatever for them. He was like, I'm here to figure this out. Like I enjoyed that part too.
he wasn't good at it, but I appreciate it.
My favorite thing that I've read about Tom is somebody had tweeted out, I think that they should cast Tom Sandoval every season until he figures it out.
Oh, see.
And I don't mean who the traitor is, just how to play the game.
There was another one. I forgot you just said you didn't see the finale, so you wouldn't have seen this. And don't worry, it's not like a spoiler or anything. But like in the reunion, they like do that thing where they like read tweets and have like the cast like respond to them or whatever. And there was one where somebody was like, I used to hate Tom Sandoval, and after seeing him on Traitors, I now want him cast on every single reality TV show, all of them, anywhere, ever. Put him on everything. I love him. And so he got that, like, shining little moment.
I'm like, I think I might have to go for a minute.
Vanderpump Rules fans are seething at the love Tom's getting.
Exactly.
All I'm going to say is we will have a history lesson at one point in the group chat.
Okay.
And you can't say no. Yes, you are the number one
because I already
I'm
know.
not done talking. I am not done talking. I have the talking stick. No. Is he gonna mute me?
Rick's gonna play you.
I'm just saying, has he somebody or done something heinous, like a horrible crime?
A cheating scandal.
Probably.
Like a huge cheating scandal.
The scandal the scandal. Listen, I can't get into it. It's not the time for it right now, but don't you worry, guys. I will get you there. All I'm going to say is based on your opinions on other cast members for other things in the challenge, when I tell you the history, I will be very interested to see what your opinions are.
All right.
I don't want him on there because I think he's great. I want him on there because I think he's horrible.
Yeah, they make fun of him and it's really good.
I don't want him to get the
She doesn't even like the ironic sympathy.
Not for Sandoval.
Here's my last question, Traitors wise then. Which housewife would be good on the challenge?
Ooh, actually, yeah, I was just thinking, like, which of the women would be good?
Going over? Who's making the jump?
But if we're narrowing down to housewives,
I don't even know which one
I'm
of the
gonna
housewives.
Was Kate a housewife?
Was Nikki from the Housewives?
No, Nikki's a wrestler.
She's a wrestler.
WWE.
I have her on my shelf.
She would be awesome.
She would be great, obviously.
her.
That'd be great.
I don't know if she
Sierra?
Sierra would be good.
Maybe Sierra might do all right on the challenge.
But I don't know if she's a housewife.
No, the housewives are the older women. That's why I asked. I thought it'd be funny to see.
Like Dorinda,
Dolores, Phaedra. I love Phaedra.
Phaedra. Sorry, I said Phaedra.
Phaedra. Give me Phaedra for sure. But if we have to pick from season 3, I don't know all the housewives, but I did enjoy Dolores, but almost in the same way I enjoyed Tom Sandoval, where it was just kind of funny to watch her play.
She was so wrong all the time.
I don't think she'd be good at the challenge, but she'd be funny on it. Like, she'd be fun to watch on it.
That's all we want, right? At the end of the day, we can put them on an all-star season to match the
All-Stars
age
4.
Yeah.
Or like do another Champs and Stars or something.
Or just I don't know. Just like, we have enough great competitors, but we don't have entertainers. So give me some people who are willing to stir the pot.
Yeah.
Some people who are willing to talk some shit and just be funny.
We got some exciting things to talk about this episode, though.
We did.
So
we sure do.
Sorry, go ahead.
One final question to pull us back into the challenge.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do we think Wes made a mistake retiring from the challenge to do all these other shows. And what's turned out with them. Not in necessarily booking the shows. I think that's good for your career regardless. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying his performance in said shows compared to what he's done in challenge seasons.
I think his House of Villains performance is actually very impressive.
Okay.
On Wes's resume. His Traitors performance was middle of the road. He entertained me while he was there, but I would not sit here and be like, he was amazing at Traitors.
Yeah.
But he went out with a bang, and what more can I ask for?
Well, honestly, with Wes's notoriety too, especially within like the reality TV like realm, he wasn't going to last no matter what, regardless of whether people liked him or not. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's why he talked his shit at the round table, which I think was the nail in his coffin.
As soon as he said, I'm coming after whoever writes my name down, I said, oh, Wes, this is not that game.
You know.
But I was actually having this conversation today. I think if Wes was more mentally prepared that Rob was going for him at the round table, I don't think he pulls that aggression out. I think the fact that he was caught off guard is what made him go, don't do this. And so I do think it was like a forced error on Boston Rob's part. This season was awesome. I loved every bit of it,
so
honestly.
Good.
I agree
about it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's so messy too, and I loved it.
Every episode was a mess.
Yeah, like I put one of those little question box thingies up on our stories just like an hour or so ago and was like, what do you guys think? And somebody commented, like there was like a couple people who, submitted where they were like, one of them was like, boring. I absolutely hated it. And there was somebody else who was like, it was okay, but season 2 was miles better. And I'm like, what? Where?
I didn't think that was, I thought 3 was way better, honestly.
Yeah.
Not that 2 was bad, but 3, I was engaged every week.
Time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah. I was left wanting to watch the next episode more. Yeah. Watching season 3.
Every week, I was like, fuck, I want the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this because I love CT, but I kept waiting for CT to do something big and it never happened.
He coasted his way to the end. He has a challenge strategy. He stuck with it.
Yeah, it worked. You know what I mean? So
yep, he cuddled right up to that housewife.
It was telling that so many of the survivors went out so early and I was still just as engaged in the show. Yeah. Because initially I went into it being like, sweet, there's a good chunk of survivor players in there. And then it was just like boom, 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 boom.
Honestly, at one point, same, like I was like, oh, all the Big Brother players, blah, 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 Danielle Reyes. And then it just became about
Devin
like,
Big Brother sucks.
I'm like, I just want to see like how much she can fuck this up. How much can Danielle fuck up? Truly, how much can she fuck up and them not call her out? I just want to know how far she can push it.
A lot.
Turns out a fucking lot.
I didn't know a lot of people. Like Nikki and Tom I knew, and then I feel like there was Wes, but other than that, I really didn't know anybody. So the second they voted Nikki out, I was so angry, and I was like, I'm not going to watch it anymore. But then I turned it on again because I was like, but I like Gabby, so I'll still keep watching it. And then it just, every episode, I was like, oh, yeah. What's happening? This is amazing.
I'm so excited for the next season already. It's like a year away, and I'm like counting down the days.
Well, and I like that they've got, like, for the US one, it's all reality people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes it interesting.
Yeah, because the first one they did like a couple of just everyday people,
half and half. Yeah. The UK one is all regular people, though. And the UK one is pretty fucking wild. If you ever,
I was gonna say,
it's season 2 and season 3 of the UK one are probably the best Traitor seasons I've seen of all iterations.
Is that on Peacock?
Wow. It is now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they dropped the whole season, like just the entire UK season.
I watched it illegally these last 2 weeks, and then they dropped it 3 days ago. I was like, God damn it!
I put in all this work.
We just to rent a couple movies on Amazon, and they're coming on Netflix. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, too funny.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Challenge Fandom Podcast. You've got myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes. We've got Tony, Stats and Info, Lance, Katie, Bad Blood, Pahura, and we've got our very special guest back to break down the mid-season recap of Challenge All-Stars 5, none other than Alex Brizard. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. Long-standing tradition now. I was thinking about it. We've done a lot of these now. It always feels either short or long between seasons. But when you mix in like USA, Worlds, All-Stars, I've been coming here quite regularly, so I'm excited. It's weird to be talking about an All-Star season on MTV, but I think I've just kind of labeled it. It's like Rivals 4, I guess. I don't know. So I'm excited to be here. Glad to be back, and I'm excited. I didn't even realize it was mid-season. This season's been cruising for me, but because it's All Stars, I think it's truncated from the original, which I don't mind.
Agreed. And that's what we realized too. We started looking at the schedule and we were like, wait, there's only going to be like anywhere from 10 to 11 episodes this season.
Yeah.
So we got to get a hold of Alex to figure out this mid-season breakdown because we're there.
Yeah, I'm glad. And we picked a great episode. I'm excited to talk about this episode. Not that the other episodes would have been bad to talk about, but they have been very consistent over the past couple weeks. And so I'm glad to come in when things are starting to shake up.
That is a very kind way to put it.
They're just getting a little shaken up, guys.
Yeah.
No big
They've been consistent.
Deal. No surprises.
They've been very consistent the last couple episodes. Well, it's an interesting, at the core of the challenge for years, we've heard, well, I'm just going to say your name because I've already said it before.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting when you see, how many eliminations have Steve and Adam won?
4?
4. I thought it was 5, but 4 is pretty crazy nonetheless. Granted, there was a stretch where they were just taking out all the women, but it was it's interesting to see a wall that is it's hard for the players to overcome.
Yes, it's sorry, I just made me think of Anakin and all the women and the children too.
It's so funny. Yeah.
But no, it's regardless, it's a consistent streak, and the games have been fairly even, and I think that's going to be a subject we start really diving into tonight as part of the big mid-season recap. But let's get right into episode 6 real quick, break that down.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into the mid-season recap, shall we?
Yeah, I like it. There wasn't a whole lot from episode 6, but I feel like what there was, it was a lot. Like it's I don't even know how to really say that, but
the episodes are shorter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they're streaming, I feel like they squeeze in 50, 55 minutes, whatever. But this is an hour with commercials, where the main series is an hour and a half with commercials. And sometimes it feels noticeable.
It does. It feels drawn out. I think this one keeps it tight. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's daily house. Let's get it done. Elimination.
Feels
let's
old
move
school.
it.
Feels like a
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my favorite part about this season.
We should check the credits and see if the people who are editing these episodes also edit Flagship, and if not, if they can.
Stats and info. Get on it.
yeah, no, I think we were just saying, I just said like a couple weeks ago, or a couple recaps ago, that kind of similar to, what we were saying earlier for Traitors is like these shortened episodes of All Stars. When the episode's over, I'm like, oh my God, give me more. I need to see what happens next. I need more. Give me more. Whereas with the Flagship, by the time that hour and a half's over, I'm like, Jesus, there was so much in there I did not need to see.
There was
see you next week. Yeah. So I'm liking these shortened episodes.
Yeah, it's when you check the time to see if you're going to get a resolution, rather than checking the time to see how much longer the episode is left.
Sometimes in the Flagship, after the elimination, you get like half an episode and you're like, hold on, what's going on here?
What's happening?
And somehow they only fit in one daily and no elimination.
Or like your guys remember, I can't remember exactly what season it was, but I want to say it was like Final Reckoning, where they would do the episode and then they would cliffhanger you before the elimination, and the next episode would start with an elimination, and then
it's bad form.
Thanks, I hate it. It's horrible. Please don't ever do that again.
I don't mind it every once in a while when they sprinkle it in for a cliffhanger. But when that's the format, absolutely not.
Agreed.
Hope to see you never. Immediately no.
Immediately no,
Immediately no. I have seen what I needed to see, and it's a no for me.
It's a no from me, dog. Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I think the challenge this season proved, especially with this daily, is that it doesn't have to be extravagant to be a good daily.
Exactly.
Ooh, well said.
Yeah.
Literally all of that.
All of my
Fire
notes.
emoji.
I literally have this much notes on it, and you said all of my notes in a quarter of what I wrote. That was beautifully said.
Hive mind. Universal hive mind.
Copyright.
Sorry, guys. This episode is over now.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Tune in next week.
My question is, with a challenge set up like this and the way the partners are set up, do you think that this was a fair challenge and the teams that you expected to win going in won? Or did it throw you off a little bit?
I really liked this one. I mean, I thought it looked like so much fun, too. That looked like a blast. And knowing that they were in Thailand and how hot it was, too, they probably were like, this is amazing. It's like water park day.
Yeah.
But I did think that it was pretty fair across the board because you could break up the teams the way that a lot of people did. And you don't have just someone who's going to struggle continuously going up and down, because that does take a lot of endurance for the swimming and constantly climbing up. But
yeah,
I don't know. It looked like so much fun. I loved it.
And also, just to top it off, and we'll come back around so you can get back to this point too as well, Katie, or if you want to add to it, is do you like the way that they handed out the daily? Fastest non-star winner gets the star. It seemed a bit convoluted. I don't even explaining
I didn't understand
it
until they did it, if that makes sense.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So what's your overall thoughts on that, Alex?
So one, I thought the challenge was awesome too. Just the format of it. I love a daily or even an elimination where there's not necessarily one way to do it. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong way where everyone's like, well, this is the only way this is going to work. I like when people try different things. It's fun to... Oh my goodness, excuse me. It's fun to see different things. People try different things and strategize. So that I always love a challenge like that. Second thing about the daily is these are the type of challenges with the All-Stars, they nailed this old school vibe. These are the type of challenges where someone in my physical condition am like, I could do this. This looks fun. This looks good. I would be decent at this. I could win it. I could pull a Frank and a Sam, spoilers, and do some shit here. Third, I was a little confused by the star mechanic, that it seems like if you already have a star, you're not going to be getting a second one. And I don't know if it was just because the players were talking about getting that second star. I guess they've done it in past seasons, but I was convinced that someone was going to get that star. At first, I thought it was Steve and Adam, and they didn't get it. And then I thought it would have been, I guess, Steve and Adam again at this daily, but they didn't get it. And so the fact that they're just holding strong to no, someone new is going to get this star when it's up, I kind of like it. It was a little clunky to be the fastest non-star holder winner was, but I like the mechanic of it. I'm always iffy on the stars, skulls, whatever, but for some reason this feels like it's working right now.
Agreed. And I think you touched on it, which was this first time explaining it is fairly clunky.
Yes.
But going forward into future episodes, we understand the mechanics of it. And if another star holder goes home and one goes up, we already understand how they're going to break it down.
It also really encourages them to free up the stars as much as possible.
It really does. And it makes it a more active gameplay. And I'm glad you really brought that up. I think that's a key point.
I mean, I think that so many people looked at it simply as endurance and puzzle solving, when really there's a huge strategy component as well.
Yeah.
And as far as delegation within your team, because I mean, the first thing Sam did is went down sideways and cleared more space. Nobody else did.
It was beautiful.
That. Veronica even talked about it and then didn't do it. And
interesting, Veronica.
Yeah.
A big talk.
Big talk. No action. All sizzle, no steak. What happened? But one of the interesting things too, like to Katie's point, and it didn't actually click until Katie said it, because they said like obviously mud all over the thing, but it's super hot, so the mud caked on. So it wasn't as easy to go down the first time as it was subsequent times once you had already been in the water and were able to go across the mud. Because when you look at Corey and Big T, the way that they were holding onto the top and kicking it, it was like flaking off. So it wasn't doing what they wanted it to do. And that came down to your strategy, because you have to work with the variables you're in. Thailand, super hot, mud dried. And then how do you clear your board? And it's all about finding those different ways. And like people were kind of going in sections to go through it. I also, this is going to be stupid, but I really liked that they had a physical ladder rather than one of the rope ladders that they use so often. Because when they first did it and the first group of people that went back to the ladder, I was like, well, here's 2 minutes of people struggling on a rope ladder. But they fixed it. And like, that's something that we don't need to see.
All-Stars difference.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the knees for it. You don't have the back for it. It's just not
contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah. The insurance goes way up the older you get.
That's the one rule. They're like, you just can't do rope ladders with these fools. They're too old.
You put them in. I lost the name. Never mind. Never mind.
But yeah.
And I don't want to explain it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Karina explain her thoughts on this whole question.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with all of you guys. I think the only thing that I had kind of notated that hasn't been brought up yet is the players that I was kind of surprised by. Obviously, you know, Frank and Sam were very impressive. I did not expect them to perform the way that they did. But in the reverse, I was shocked by Fessy and Bamber. I was really, really shocked. Walking into this, I was for sure that Fessy and Bamber were going to take this win. Mm-hmm. It was either going to be Fessy and Bamber, and plus, like, he's so tall. Like, why was he not going sideways to cover so much more space? You know, like, it was just, so I felt like their strategy, and I don't know, I was just a little bit disappointed by Bamber and Fessy's performance in this one. I really expected them to win this one, and nothing against Frank and Sam. I'm super happy that they're having such a great run. I think that's great, especially after what happened at the trivia challenge when they got named the weakest team, you know, all of that. And so I'm really happy that not only did they win the trivia, but then they went around, they went back to back on the dailies, won an endurance mental strategy game and you know, got their star, or you know, got their star. They already had one. Did they already have one?
No. It's really fun seeing that they took a huge risk in a big move last week, and then to instantly see it pay off for them was like pretty rewarding, actually. Because what do we always want every season? Big moves. We want people who aren't scared to take out people. Yes. There's nothing more worse than someone who sits there and goes, I know I can't beat Devin and Leroy. I just don't know if I can throw them into an elimination right now. And
why?
Yeah. Exactly. And so I don't want to say nervous for Frank's return, but I was trepid, because the last time we saw Frank, it was not fun Frank. And even the first time we saw Frank, it was like back and forth between fun Frank and not fun Frank. This has been 110% fun Frank so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just real quick, I just wanted to add this last part in about the stars. I agree. I really love the way that they're handling these stars. For me, they're pretty much saying like, no, you can't just win multiple and give them to your friends. You have to earn it. You have to earn the star. You can't be given it like you were in All Stars 4. So that makes me like the stars a little bit more than I did in All Stars 4, because that was my biggest complaint. I don't like giving it out to your friends like fucking Skittles. Make them earn it. So I'm really glad that they are doing that this season.
Agreed. And I think that's the key point of this whole part of the daily, outside of the fact that, once again, it was a simple daily, yet entertaining to watch them all compete, because it was a level playing field, in my opinion, for everybody that was out there, depending on your strategy. Just Sam and Frank had the best strategy of lay down sideways. I was surprised you didn't see anyone trying to like somehow splash any type of water they could up onto the mud.
Yes.
I had that same
I would have
thought.
been wringing out my hair on it. Like,
Get that clothes. Get that whole shit wet
yeah.
before you go. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to do what, who was it, Desi or whatever, on that one challenge where she just pulled her pants down so her ass would stick to the glass. It might not be Desi, and if it wasn't, sorry, Desi.
I don't think it was Desi.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
just
feel like a Desi move.
I feel like
I
it was.
feel like Tori probably did it.
It probably
like
might have been.
Happy birthday, Tori!
Happy birthday, Tori.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, squirrel.
No, I do agree. I do agree. Yeah, and I can't remember who did that.
I remember it
was
specifically,
wasn't
though.
it Michaela?
I think it might have
She
been
didn't
Michaela.
pull her.
Yes.
She didn't
that
pull
feels
her pants
Michaela.
down. She just pulled them inside of her butt crack so her cheeks were out.
Yeah, whatever.
Same concept.
More skin exposure to
Stuck
wipe
on
the
there.
mud.
But
Berna
no,
probably did it because Berna's butt cheeks were out all the time.
hall monitor. Yeah.
Probably got a sunburn.
Monitor.
No, I agree though, Kate, because literally while I was watching it, there's a moment where it shows Sam getting out of the water and starting to get up on the platform to go up, and she wrings out her shirt on the platform before climbing up the ladder, and I'm like, what are you doing?
No!
Do that on the up there. Do that.
Yeah.
Wring that
Too.
shirt out. Wring everything. I'd be taking my shirt off, wringing it out.
Yeah.
Like,
But this
who
is why this is
cares?
a fun daily, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
The ring one, it was like cool and fun to watch, but it's just like there's one strategy: throw them at the right time, grab with your arms, your legs. This was fun to be like, no, try this, or why didn't you do that?
And they all had different words, so they couldn't copy off of each other.
Yes, I
Which
loved
was like
that.
brilliant.
Loved it.
Yes.
I feel
I
like
felt-
an idiot. I didn't think of that.
I was terrified because Sam yelled it out. And I was like, fuck, now everybody knows. And then for that round, it didn't matter. And then I was even more confused because it didn't matter. And I couldn't figure out why it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But then, like, and it took me until probably the third round for me to clue in that the
it's
other two didn't have stars. So it didn't matter what time they got. They weren't going to be faster than Frank and Sam.
correct.
Yeah.
But it took me way too long to figure that out. But I liked that they were different words. But as far as the star holders go, because I realized when Karina was talking that I didn't mention that at all. I like that they found a way to keep the people who were star holders in the daily while still not allowing them to get a second star. Because we had talked, I don't know when, one of the past episodes, we had talked about whether or not star holders would sit out.
Right.
So that then it was just whoever wins. But this way, and it worked out, they were still able to compete for safety while still not taking that second star from a team that didn't have one.
Right. Well, and not even just safety, because like, TJ easily could have said, if you have a star, you are exempt from the daily and you're safe from the elimination. You're ineligible to be voted in. But it gave them an opportunity to win power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To still be eligible for that power. And that was something I hadn't considered when I brought up that option when we talked last week. And so when I saw it happening, I was like, oh, wow, they actually, you know what? Bravo to production for actually thinking this one through, because this one, they put some thought into how they were going to work this situation. And they did a good job. So I have to give it up to them when they do good. When they do bad, I call them out. When they do good, they get the snaps. They get everything.
Eliminations. I like that they won it in the daily too, because I feel like there is part of, I understand in the challenge, you shouldn't be scared to go into an elimination, but I also think there's such merit in like not wanting to go into an elimination. And so I like that you can win the star in a daily personally too, or an elimination. Like it's both. It more options is usually better in my opinion.
And not only that, as you said earlier, Frank and Sam still took Devin and Leroy's star. They didn't have to go into the elimination to do it.
Unbelievable turnaround of events. Yeah. It was crazy.
Simple structure for the most part by production. Once again, not only on the daily, but in the actual season format, leads to better overall gameplay.
Yes.
Because people understand it easier.
And just cast members too.
Oh, casting was done right this season.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Look, besides the all-star label, and there's definitely people here who, don't fit what we've been calling the all-star model.
Yeah.
Like we were shocked when Are You the One people got on and they just threw that all out the window. So besides that aspect, like I there's really part of me that's like, man, they should have just called this Rivals 4. Like, it's like a little confusing that they didn't, but I'm fine with it being an All-Stars season. There's no rules. We're getting the challenge. Let's just like it.
Yeah.
I feel like they just need to come up with a different name other than All Stars, maybe is the thing.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. It's like so many people don't fit that, like All Stars.
Switch this to Challenge USA. Who cares?
Yeah, something like that.
Gosh,
it doesn't
honestly,
matter.
that would have probably been the move.
Okay, so let's move on to the second question, because speaking of certain all-stars, perennial all-stars, Veronica and Katie, and I mean that in a good way because they're good at what they do. And I think this was a central point in the episode, the major point in the episode. But my question is them being able to plant the seeds once they find out they're going to be nominated to go in. They go around and start planting the seeds to all these different people, telling, like, for instance, Amber B, hey, Mel and Nicole want to put you guys in, and planting different seeds around the house. And then Katie's masterclass going out and talking to Mel and basically planting the seed even deeper into Mel's head, saying, maybe we should look at someone else with a star.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is are they just better than everyone else in social gameplay, or did they just take advantage of a situation where confusion and panic was already starting to set in because of Adam and Steve going in?
I think both can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
and I know, like, I feel bad saying that Bamber is an easy target, but like we've already seen that she has sort of a blind spot for Veronica, at least up to this episode.
Yeah.
So like doing that, to me, it makes the most sense to go to Bamber and say, hey, these two are thinking about putting you in, because she's obviously going to go say to Fessy, they're trying to put us in. Fessy's going to believe Amber more than he believes Veronica. So Veronica and Katie were intentional about who they went to in each pair to know what carried the most weight, how to say it, how to frame it, when to say it, who to go to first. Like, there is probably a diagram on the underside of the bed that they have plotted out, sort of Alex style, with the yarn and the
board, and yeah,
exactly. That they knew what they were doing the entire time.
I think what is so interesting about Veronica and Katie this season is one thing that I love in the challenge that rarely ever gets like highlighted or focused upon. And part of it is because this is a very difficult strategy for a game like the challenge, but playing the bottom. In the challenge, usually your only way to play the bottom is win an elimination. Just go in, take it. Steve and Adam, what did they do? Take it on the chin. We're just going to win and come back until you stop. And that's usually how you play the bottom. But Veronica and Katie are showing that this is more than just a physical game at its core. Yes, that is how you win, is you got to win eliminations, you got to win challenges, you got to win dailies. But there is a social element to it. I think what's really interesting about this question is, are they master manipulators or just lucky? For me, it's like when you're on the bottom, you're in a spot of like, I got nothing to lose. And so they didn't need to necessarily, I think, have, okay, I need to plan XYZ triple, and that's going to get this. They just needed to shake enough shit till something stuck. If you start shaking that tree and a name falls out, they ran with it, and they knew, and like Tony was saying, they knew where to go, they knew who to go to, and they knew how it would spread, which is the best way to control a narrative, is like, well, I know if I tell Amber, she'll tell Fessy. And so I love watching what Veronica and Katie are doing, but man, is this cast going to be mad when they see them running around talking to everyone. And then on the flip side, just because it's a little related to this, good on Corey for spotting this shit. Corey is such an interesting player to me, because I have gone through like such a love-hate relationship with him. Like every other season, I feel like I'm high on him, I'm low on him, I'm high on him. But he's got a real nose for the game for the few times that he's played. And it's fun to see.
It is. I think Corey adds a very interesting structure to the game because he chooses his spots to be deceitful and chooses his spots to show the cards.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it makes for a dynamic gameplay.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, and I just think, first of all, before I get into the Veronica Katie thing, just going off the Corey thing, I've gone through the same kind of ups and downs, highs and lows with Corey, but I just think he's such a valuable player in a season, regardless of whether or not you like him, because he's, like you said, he reads the game very well. He plays the social part in different ways, deceitful, loyal, just depending on how he feels that day. And he causes chaos. He stirs the pot.
So well.
If it wasn't for Corey, we would not have gotten Dario versus Devin, which has been the most entertaining thing this season. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, as far as like confrontational issues in the house, it's been the only thing that's happened, really. So other than like Ashley and Anissa's tiny little spat at each other, which was, ridiculous in comparison to the Devin Dario thing, which is still being talked about all over social media.
I know.
So I just think that whether or not you like Corey or not, he's a really valuable player. I don't have a whole lot to add about the Veronica Katie thing. They're absolute masterminds when it comes to this political game. It's insane. It's actually really impressive. And I don't like Veronica. I am not a fan of Veronica.
I wouldn't trust her if I was out there.
I don't like her.
There's no way.
No.
Well, how is she benefiting my game? How is Veronica ever going to benefit my game?
Yes, literally. Why is Bamber believing everything that Veronica tells her? I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Have you never watched Veronica play this game?
I love Bamber, but in the challenge, she is desperate for someone to actually want to work with her. And it's not her fault. It's because all these people think they can use her, take advantage of her, whatever. No one ever just wants to work with her.
But she's so good.
She's a great ally. She's probably one of the best allies in that house.
And Fessy, did you guys see? I'm sorry, I'm not one to give Fessy props. And he said she's a good partner.
Yeah,
and I was shocked to my core.
That he regretted not having her.
Regretted giving her up on double.
I was really impressed when he said he did. I think he said it almost. I almost regret it, but that is major growth for Fessel. So major knowing him. I will take that as he said it on TV too. And so that's as close to an apology as we're going to get for that.
Yeah.
I think Fessel and Amber are in a really interesting position. And I think if they just, I don't want to say keep their head down, but if they play a little straight and narrow here, they could have an easy path to I don't want to say an easy final, but a final with people that might not be stacked physically compared to them.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Which is wild to think about.
Yeah. My last thought on the Veronica thing, the only thing I wanted to add in is my only concern with what they did and the way that they approached the situation is that this could majorly backfire because they talked to so many different people. And I don't even think the cast really needed to like wait till they got home and saw the show.
They're going to find out this week.
All they have to do is talk to each other. So I'm very curious to see what happens on episode 7, because I have a feeling Bamber is going to go to, Melissa and Nicole and be like, what the heck is going on? Who told you this? And it's only going to take a matter of time. Who is they? For them to figure out who the infamous they is. And I think it's going to cause some major problems for Veronica and Katie. But it was really freaking interesting and fun to watch. So thank you. If they end up going home, thank you for your service. Like, we appreciate it, honestly.
I think Veronica's going to escape. She's going to escape that. And I'm going to say this because there's plausible deniability and say, Katie talked to Melissa and Nicole on her own. I didn't go. And I didn't. We're rivals. We don't work together like that.
Yeah, that's not my partner. Maybe I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was trying to help you is what Veronica's going to say. And then, ready for this? Here's the other issue. Amber and Fessy do not have a star. And there are probably only about 4 more eliminations till we are at final 4 teams.
If that,
Why are you going to worry about Veronica and Katie right now? There's kind of bigger matters at hand.
Yeah, because guess who else doesn't have a star for TJ's final? Veronica and Katie.
Exactly.
So why do we care about them at all?
Yeah, they're in an interesting position, and this is why playing the bottom, we don't get to see this very often, and it's fun to watch, even though I don't know how well it will work out for them. But if they make it to the final, I think we could consider that a win for their team as much as possible.
I agree. I just think it's going to be very difficult for them too, because they have to beat all those other teams out there to get a star.
Exactly.
They can't be given one by Adam and Steve or, whoever else they're working with. So I think that's going to be a very interesting, hurdle for them to get over.
100%.
Katie, do you have anything to add to this?
I'm sorry, hun.
Oh, it's
I'm
fine.
already breaking form. I'm so sorry, everyone.
No, you're good.
No, I literally have nothing else to say other than just everything everyone else has said. Because, it was just what I loved seeing their gameplay, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this season, I don't care. Like, I know so many of the fans are going to be like, well, what if they come back on another season?
Good.
Blah, blah, blah. I hope they do, because it's just going to keep
Veronica's
the
been doing this
storyline
20
going.
years.
And it's going to keep messing. Like, I love it. This is giving us what we have been missing for how many seasons that we've been complaining about.
Yeah.
So thank you. That is Frank.
That is
He does it too.
That is the one point that I'm going to bring up that you guys might have alluded to, but I'm just going to say it, is watching this happen. I am so accustomed to watching strategies fall apart going into nominations, just absolutely tanking. Or just going the way the house always goes. Mm-hmm. The fact that they were able to hatch this plan while they were hatching, I was like, it ain't gonna fucking work. It ain't gonna fucking work. And then it fucking worked to perfection, other than maybe the traceability back to a degree.
The traceability, but also you got to think and obviously I can't think about to every single moment ever.
No.
But there's been very, very rare occasions where Veronica has made a social move that did not work in her favor. Like that's what I was saying earlier is I'm not a fan of her, but I will give her flowers as far as the social game goes. She is one of the best social players to ever grace the challenge, to be honest. She is very, very smart in social. She knows how to read people. She knows how to work people. And it's fun to watch her do it. Like flashback to the Leroy thing on Dirty 30, where she flipped that whole vote and got Leroy thrown in.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
And this is why I think
people still trust her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like nobody cares. Like, and that's the thing is like, I think that even fans having this idea of, oh, well, you can't backstab anyone, you can't go against anyone because what happens next season? That thought process is part of what's ruining this show.
Yes.
The show has always been about playing for the money, backstabbing, playing for yourself, getting to the end, getting that money, crossing that line, crossing the finish line and getting the money. And then you come back next season and you try again.
Yeah.
The larger structure to the challenge game is you create drama, because if you don't backstab and do this, you don't get a rival season with authentic rivals. You don't get these one-off relationships when all of a sudden they break up because the next season they do something wild against each other because they're on different sides of the house. This is what it's about. And that's why I think Veronica brings, and the fact that, to me, if you're like a Big Brother fan, she's the equivalent of Janelle to me.
Okay.
A very, like, she can all of a sudden change the house. Yeah. Or she can do something last second to save her ass, which she did right here. One final question I have to ask you guys about this, and we can give a simple yes, or if you got a quick answer. Do you think they are still the worst players or the worst team in the house, or do you think they have solidified themselves as a real threat with their social gameplay?
That is so tough, because I just don't think they stack up physically enough still. Yeah. I think it's really fun watching them trying to survive. And that's why I said if they can make it to the end, that's their win. Like, they've done everything they can. Because I don't think there's a combination of people where they win a final. And so I think it is good gameplay, but I don't know it is like... that's a tough question. It cuts both ways, kind of.
I think what they lack physically, Nicole and Melissa lack strategically.
Ooh.
So I think that they're fairly even in that, and it just depends on the daily. It depends on the elimination. It depends on the final. I do have a follow-up question that I'll get to like before we move on. But I do think that there are teams that are not as cohesive as Katie and Veronica, and a lot of the missteps have been communication this season.
I see where you're coming from, and I agree with you, but I am going to counter you with the fact that, I see your point with, your comparison to Melissa and Nicole's social game versus their physical, and Veronica and Katie's. The only problem is that social, no matter how good you are at it, is not going to get you a ticket to that final. So at the end of the day, like, it still puts Nicole and Melissa a little bit above them because all they have to do is win. Now, Veronica and Katie have to try to rely on their social game after running around loud as chickens with their heads cut off all day or last episode. And I just don't think they're going to get away with it long enough for it to actually carry them to the end, personally.
It's everything Karina said. I think that this is like so good and they're amazing politically, but it's the challenge, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer with them, but I don't see them winning. Like, if they could have won any of the challenges so far, or the daily so far, this would have been one that I'm like, they could have pulled this out.
This or the trivia.
Or the trivia, but so far this season, I'm like, I don't know.
The Melissa and Nicole is interesting, and that would be the other team I would contend as the worst, because I do consider them kind of just average at challenges, and I do think they are very incohesive as a team.
Yeah, and incoherent.
Real quick, I think one important thing to factor into this decision making, because this season seems very much like All Stars 4 in the fact that they're going to build a final that may be set up that anybody can win.
Carnival games.
And if that is the situation and they make that final,
Old school,
or they
baby.
win a daily that's set up like that.
What I will say is, even before this episode, I do feel like we've been watching their journey closely. Like, from episode 1, I've noticed. And that's the whole reason I'm like, it doesn't normally get highlighted playing the bottom like this. So I'm glad we're getting to see it. And I don't want to like read the edit and be like, they must be going far. But I have thought it's interesting that we've seen a lot of Katie. Like, Katie's got she's got like a CT segment. Yeah. It was like, once I realized that, I was like, that's pretty crazy. Like, I guess, okay. But I think Veronica maybe would be a little better at it. But yeah, Veronica is such an interesting one to me. So I don't know that they're the worst team, but they're definitely, like, if someone said that, I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, and I think I think it does come down to like the daily, especially like the thing that I keep putting in my head is, if you have a run from point A to point B and memorize something and then replicate it, Melissa and Nicole are going to beat Katie and Veronica on the run. But Katie and Veronica might only have to memorize once or twice to get everything. And I'm betting that they're running 4 or 5 times at least.
That was some good info and stats, in my opinion, actually.
Boom.
I mean, that's fair, but we've also already seen Veronica in that same exact situation where it was a run from point A to point B, memorize, and she still lost. So yeah. I think it still depends on like you have to, and maybe she's in better shape than I don't remember what season that was. It was some kind of partner season though, because she was with a partner. Maybe like
typical
Darrell or Mark or somebody.
Was it another All-Stars?
It might have been another All-Stars.
I think it was the one, because I'm picturing the one where they had to do the bobblehead.
Like All-Stars 3 or something, maybe. I'm not sure, but I do remember that, and because I remember she was like running along.
That's the one. It was the bobblehead one. It was like Darrell or Adam had to like push her up the hill.
Yeah,
I think it was Darrell.
I feel like it was Darrell, and I have no idea what season it was. I'm feeling almost like a Spies Lies or
but I do see your point that it does depend on what the daily is. I mean, anything can happen. Anything can be geared towards them to win. And also, just going back to your comment about the finals. just because TJ says it's the hardest final, just because TJ says anyone can win it, doesn't mean that's true.
Veronica made the final last season and got.
And what did she get?
She got further.
Did she win?
She got
further than Leroy.
I'm just saying.
That's all I got, though.
Man, when Leroy screamed 0-15, it kind of got me. Like, I was like, oh no, man. Oh no. Like, that one hurt. It really hurt.
Yeah.
At least
him and Anissa this season.
Because like him and Devin, I don't want to say had it made, but there was a clear path to the end for them.
I still don't understand what happened with that. But
kudos to Frank and Sam. I
meant in the eliminate. How did you come on, guys? But yes, Frank and Sam, kudos to them. It was a great move. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
I mean, do you guys want to move on, or do we have more for this?
I just had that one question.
Go
and
for
it's just like a round table sort of thing. So Corey had that conversation with Bamber, right? Like, after being eliminated.
Yeah.
Which was to have the conversation and explain what he thought was going on in the house after he had left the game, which jeopardizes Veronica and Katie in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question is, should it be? I know that they're going in after the fact to get their stuff, but should they be, I guess, more closely monitored where they get their stuff?
I mean, they were monitored. There's a fucking camera
on
them.
Camera. They're like, well, this is good conversation.
Old school challenge,
this is
guys.
this is OG.
Ready for this?
Is OG. I
was strictly anti this until you just said old school challenge. I'm in. It's cool. It's fair.
You're welcome.
Do you guys remember? Okay. Are you guys ready to get in the time machine?
I'm excited.
I'm
so excited.
Hit me.
Do you guys remember back to the early seasons when they had a phone in the house and they were able to make calls and accept calls, and they would get calls from cast members that were not on that cast or that had already gone home, and they would sit there and just talk on the phone for hours? Like, that's what this, coming back to the house to pack their stuff. It is giving OG challenge to me. I was not upset about that at all. I was this is going to make things. And again, Corey coming in, causing chaos, stirring the pot, making the show messy for us. Yeah. Thank you, Corey. Yep. Thank you for your service.
Yes. My question is, normally they make them pack before they go to the elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this season different, though? That's
because old school.
Okay, I'll take it. You convinced me again.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
Anybody can be voted in by the winners, right?
Oh, you're so right. That's what it was. They didn't know they were going in. A classic blindside.
Oh,
you're so right.
Why.
You're so
that
right.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
because they would have to make the whole house pack their bags and bring their
I
bags
like
to
old school
elimination.
better. That's the better answer.
Yeah.
Old school. Yeah. No, that's a great point. So logical.
It's just like glitter. Old school.
Old school. All right. This last question, I'm going to try to frame in the most engaging way possible, but
bring it back. Bring it back. That's all I gotta say.
You like this one?
I did. I didn't mind it. But
all
you can ask your question because I do have some things.
I
do have some things to say.
The answer is old school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, bring.
I really want you to just insert like Will Ferrell running.
Yes.
We're going streaking. One. Do you like this elimination?
Oh.
Do you think it puts it too much into chance instead of skill? And do you think the best team won?
Listen, host, I got a question for you. What part of this is luck?
Yeah.
That I have the same question when I saw that in the question.
I literally was like, I don't think a single part of this was luck. It was all balance and skill and teamwork and communication.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Same.
Okay.
I actually don't. You ready? Maybe this is a hot take. I don't think there's been an elimination I haven't liked this season. They're unique. They're weird. They're different. They're old school, baby.
Yes.
Okay. Just because you called me out as host.
Yeah. Sorry. You did that before we started. Hold on.
With authority.
Yeah, he said that was some authority.
He said it with his chest.
First of all, that second elimination was fucking stupid.
Which one was
hold
it?
the rope with the chain and hold it together.
I kind of liked it. It's interesting.
It was right up there with Polly and Bananas throwing snowballs at each other.
No, that's still one of the worst.
I don't even know. It could have been.
They were beanbags standing on an ice block with fire underneath. God, host.
That's actually crazy when you describe it like that.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Huh? They were doing what?
Yeah, I just remember the beanbags.
Beanbags, ice, and fire.
I remember the ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought there was fire, but that was
There
sure.
was fire was
Yeah,
melting
the fire
ice.
melt the ice, and when they hit the beanbag, it
You're
increased
right,
the fire.
Yeah.
All right, we're
to
there.
And then they had to stand and wait for the ice to melt.
To be honest, this question is because I'm biased because the team I wanted to win didn't win.
Fair.
Because I think they create a better gameplay. As great as Dario's threatening to break Devon's jaw because he got caught lying is.
Yeah.
Corey caused it. Corey was going to cause even more going forward. And so it's a loss in gameplay for me.
Fair. I totally get that. I think even Big T and Corey, though, in their like parting words were like, we really figured it out towards the end. They just beat us. They were better. Like, I don't think they were like, that was piss and shit. That was luck.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they seemed like, you know what? No, that was hard. That was challenging. I think I almost wish, and you know, I'm not a challenge designer. I wish the platform was a little bigger so that I felt like all their stars kept falling off. That was my only complaint is I wish if their stars could stay on the platform a little more. But I thought it was unique. I love the unique ones. Obviously I love a hall brawl. I'm not going to be like, oh, this again. But like, this is fun to me to see people try to do something new and unique. And like, this would be hard. I don't know I could do this personally. I don't got the core strength.
Well, and that was my thing. Honestly, like, I really liked this elimination. Bring it back. I thought it was a really fun twist on like a balance type situation, but also, man, production, y'all just a bunch of fucking haters. Why y'all keep giving Corey balance stuff? You know he can't do it.
Same thing.
You know it's his fucking nemesis, okay? Let's give him a break with the balancing.
That's his real
all
rival
right?
this season.
Poor guy.
Not even this season.
Literally.
Forever. 39, we had the balance beam that the poor,
It's his
babe
rival
couldn't do.
for life.
We had the balance beam this season.
He said
now-
Big T's here as a person, but your real rival, balance. Come on in.
Yeah.
Literally, you know? And so as soon as I saw it was something balancing, I was like, oh, fuck. Dario and Ashley got this in the bag. Like, it's over.
Well, also, how different in size they are.
Agree.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah, whereas, you know, they're a little bit closer.
Why I wanted the platform a little bigger too, I feel like, because I don't feel like, I felt like, I don't want to say he was hulking it, but it's harder to navigate when you're that big.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, that is a lot. I mean, I couldn't
He
even
is
imagine
big.
being that tall. Like, it just, I wouldn't know what to do with I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do. Like, shit.
Well
How do you
said.
balance all of that? Like, there's just so much. Like, no. And then Big T is little as fuck. So how do you account for that difference in weight, in height?
And that's what they talked about, is every movement they made was, whoa.
Okay,
Exactly.
I was screaming at the end in my head because our kids were asleep. So I wasn't literally screaming, but I was like, at the end when Big T's trying to get that last piece up, I was like, Big T, just stand up. Just stand fucking up and
Corey's
put that
got
up there.
the counterweight.
Corey's got so much weight, it's not moving.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could have beat them right there. And that's what I was surprised they didn't understand is get Corey to a certain position with Big T standing up and then
She could
start
get
building
anything.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I loved this one. I didn't think that this was a luck thing. Like, I mean, just, we've already said all of this, I'm sorry, but just how hard it was. I mean, that took so much core strength and endurance and balance and like just all over body strength, not even just your core, because thinking about like how still you would have to be with the stars in order to get them balanced and hold them there for that long. Like, I really liked it. And I don't know, I think evenly matched wise, I don't want to say it was unfair for Corey and Big T, but it's almost like if we put the two of them on a seesaw, like how difficult would that be for them? So I think another team, it would have been a little bit tighter in the elimination, but
when I saw the matchup, though, like initially before it, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
I think one of the interesting things, and we've sort of danced around it a little bit, is even though the height and weight disparity was different on Corey and Big T's side, once they figured it out when they were collecting the stars, Corey's wingspan helped them make up the time that they lost. As far as Dario and Ashley, where they had to reach further, he was able to just kind of like pluck them out of the air like it was nothing. And it was the actual stacking that was the issue for them. Whereas Ashley and Dario would have had to spend a little bit more time in the retrieving. I also don't understand what those stars are made of. And what, because my, like, Sarah was like, they're wearing gloves. Like, yeah, like Ashley is, but Dario isn't. When they reached out to grab it, I fully expected her to like slip off of it, but she just like plucked it out of the air like it had grippy tape on it.
They all one-handed them, which was so shocking to me.
One thing that I think is not being brought up is the fact that I think it was a kind of a shoo-in for Dario and Ashley from the fact that this was really about communication more than anything. And they are exes, not rivals. So they have... So they, to me, I don't want to call it an unfair advantage. It's just they're casted for the wrong fucking season.
I mean, yeah, but also like they're exes because they couldn't communicate with each other. So
he literally ran away instead of communicating. It sounds
he literally packed his shit and moved out without even telling her. So like,
this story sounds wild. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know I would go on TV and tell people, yeah, I just fucking left. Like, I think I'd give a different version. So I've been waiting to talk about Dario and Ashley till this moment. Dario has not been on the challenge in a good while. Like, it's been a long time, and he's talked about like growing up and whatnot. I think it's the same fucking Dario that we saw before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
100%.
I'm glad. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better.
Slightly longer hair.
So,
At certain times.
At certain times. Last time we were here, I did something last time I was here. You guys are here quite often. Last time I was here. I did something very rare where I praised Johnny Bananas because I was doing like a challenge rewatch. Yeah. And one thing that stuck out to me where I was like talking, and I don't know, I named the specific move, but I was like, Johnny Bananas gets away with things that he should not sometimes. And one of them was highlighted on, it was either last week's episode or this, where he got Dario to throw in Devin and his partner and Cheyenne over Johnny Bananas. And when he was trying again to sneakily get Leroy and Devin in there, I was like, this is just the same fucking Dario. He does not understand the game. Dario has a fundamental misunderstanding of how he should be playing this game.
Exactly. Because he played it for Bananas his first time around, and so that's all he's ever really experienced. So
See,
wild.
That's the difference between smart younger players and not so smart younger players, which is if you get an opportunity to buddy up with Veronica and learn from her, it's better off than buddying up with Bananas getting played at the end.
Yeah,
at least you walk away with like a doctoral and social game.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to say, see, we don't typically get into this on the Around the Horns, but because it's like 2 episodes and that trying to combine.
On the what?
On the Around the Horn. Jesus Christ, I'm high as shit.
You can't say that on here.
Actually, no, we can because they are fucking.
Are they?
Yeah, they're doing their last episode.
Then you can keep it.
We took it over.
Yeah,
they saw us.
They saw ours and they were like,
ESPN was like, hold on, pump the brakes. No.
I thought we were talking about him saying I'm high. I was like,
no, he said the name of Around the Horn from ESPN. I was like, you can't say that on here. What are you doing? We're going to get fucking.
That's funny.
Anyways,
good to know.
Typically how we're recapping these, it's 2 episodes and we're trying to combine like, who's been your MVP for the first 3 episodes. Getting to an individual episode, I want to see if we have some more variation in who we're picking.
Okay.
I want to know who's your MVP for this episode.
For episode 6?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with Alex.
For the men. I'm going to do a men and a woman. That's how we do it, right? Okay,
Yeah,
just making sure.
perfect.
For some reason, it seemed like I needed to pick one. For the men, I don't think I can go with anyone besides Frank, unfortunately. I think he had a plan. He executed it really smoothly. The one pair that would have been mad at him left, and he got their star. And it wasn't even like he got it because he got them out. He got them out and then did it the next step. And so I was not expecting coming into the season rooting for Frank as hard as I am, but I think he was the male MVP of this episode. For the female MVP, highly contested because only one female can win it here. And there's a couple that I think it could go to. I'm gonna give it to Veronica though, against my own wishes. She did the thing this episode. Even if it backfires next episode, I gotta give props where it's due. I'll be honest. After this episode, Veronica reminds me of a more likable Wes in the challenge universe sometimes, which is crazy to say. She plays the social game not as obvious as Wes does, but just as hard.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
That fits.
Katie, who's your MVP?
Frank.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think you're gonna see a lot of variation on this episode.
I've got well.
There was a lot of people that did things this episode.
He just,
Daddy Frank, yeah.
yeah. Frank, and also though, my female's gonna go to Sam because I'm so impressed with her, and just like, I feel so bad for her because there have been so many negative things said about her just floating around the internet, and you can already see that she's like really pushing herself this season, and she's trying to do her best. And seeing their dynamic together and how it's been in the past compared to how it's been now is just, it makes my little heart happy. And she was a big reason that they won. Like, I mean, she was the reason that, well, no, it was a team effort, but she got the word.
That team was so dysfunctional. And it was crazy that Ashley was also on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I can't remember. Were her and Zach still together then, or were they broken up? I
No,
don't
they were
even remember.
broken up.
They were
They were broken up
Yeah.
on Battle
Yeah.
of the Seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Frank and Sam because I can't separate them. They both did amazing. I
love
don't
it.
think that I have cheered as loudly for anyone than I did when Sam and Frank got their star. And like I said earlier, they got Devin and Leroy's star without going into the sand and taking it. They were playing 3D chess. And I have to give an honorable mention to Victoria. What the fuck? It was because I wanted to say Veronica and Katie at the same time, and it for some reason became Victoria.
Happy birthday, Tori.
I was gonna say that
That's
is
what it
Tori's
was.
full
Happy birthday,
name.
Tori.
So
Yeah, the four of them together, because they had that conversation where they're like, obviously we are targets numero uno and dos. How do we not do this? And then they went to work and they fucking did it.
All right. So for my MVPs, I am going to cheat a little bit because I never cheat on MVPs. So I'm going to cheat on MVPs.
Do it.
And because the season decided to group people together as like one entity, I'm going to award MVPs in the same fashion. So MVP spot number 1 goes to Frank and Sam.
yeah.
Fucking awesome. I am in love with Frank this season, and I never liked him before. Literally no season ever in the past did I ever like him. He was always the one that I rooted against on the season. I am praying with everything in me that he makes it to the final. And I honestly, I don't even know who I want to win, because I want Adam and Steve to win because they've been just fucking attacked all season. So it would be cool for them to go to the final and win and just be like, fuck all you. I would love for Frank and Sam too, because of just how they're seen in the house. So it would just be so cool for them to just blow past everybody and win the final and be like, fuck you. So Frank and Sam in that first MVP spot. Second MVP spot, I am giving to Veronica and Katie because they absolutely worked that house. And as much as it was Veronica's like idea and she kind of got the ball rolling, I feel like Katie did a big, like the majority, like the lion's share of that work for Melissa to go. You know what I mean? Like, she is the one who really got that snowball rolling. So I can't really leave Katie out of it. So Frank and Sam and Veronica and Katie.
So I'll just add on to what your thought is, because it's MVPs are the same, hive minding. The only thing I'll add is the analogy I would have is in sales, my first sales job, we had a cold call where we had to call people and try to sell them one call, one close. And there was a person that called him, got him through the demo, and then you brought in the closer at the end.
Yeah.
And that's what this represented. Veronica built the story. Katie sold it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what it was.
And they worked so well together. Like, it just, it flowed and worked so perfect for them. Like, you just can't not give them MVP, honestly.
And that's facts.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back into this real quick before I do. Alex, I want to congratulate you, buddy. You got, like a week to go or so.
I was going to mention it on our recap here. I have been very busy because I'm getting married literally a week from tomorrow. Super excited. It came up out of nowhere. It was literally a year ago yesterday, and now it's here. I mean, to make this challenge related, I'm very excited to get married, but because I've been so busy, I binged most of this season this week. And I think it's given me a bit of an interesting perspective on the season as a whole.
Yes.
So I'm excited to get into that. But marriage, yes, of course, super excited. My lovely fiance, soon to be bride, Nikki, is just thrilled, and we've been busy as all hell. So excited that I was able to get in here and talk to you guys, though.
Dude, we're so happy you could make it. Real quick question, I think really cuts to the heart of everything. Are you going to play Shout at the wedding reception?
That is a good question. It's been a long debated topic. No, we have abandoned it. Weirdly, I don't even think it was on their list of songs that they would play. So,
wow.
It's probably good that way, though.
That's cool, though. I love live bands at weddings. That's awesome.
Yes.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to creep so hard on your social media.
Yeah.
I love weddings.
I need to be better. I'm going to post as much as I can on that day so people can, everyone always wants to see it. I post like once a month. So I need to,
the day.
Yeah, let everybody else tape, and then you just post whichever ones don't make you look bad.
Yeah. And the ones that do. No.
Or just,
you know what? As long as Nikki looks great, that's all that
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
I don't really have a say how I look for the photos being posted.
Yeah, I would. Every time my buddy posts his wedding photos, I'm like, fuck, I was so shit-faced the whole time. I was such an idiot.
I have a friend, same thing. All his wedding photos, I'm his best man, and I'm like, God, I was hammered. What the hell? There's like a photo of me dancing that they've made like a sticker out of, and I look like a fucking airplane, like jumping through. Like, it is nuts. I'm like, that's not a real photo. Delete that.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's just bad choices all day leading up to that event and then after that event.
Oh my God.
All right. So what we're really here for, I was glad that we could break down episode 6, but we're really here for the mid-season recap. Yeah. And, real quick before I get us into the actual questions, 30,000 foot view, what grade are you giving this season thus far?
Ooh.
So I'm going to start off with Tony on this one.
Letter grade? Yeah, letter grade.
Letter grade. Let's not go with the numerical system. That's too hard. That's too many options.
What's the rules? Yeah, decimals.
You guys always make me go first when it's this, and I'm number grades, and you guys are all letter grades.
Well, if you go out of 100, the numbers, you could correlate it. There's like a chart.
That's acceptable.
Some people could. I
can't. The Canadian method's different.
If you go 1 out of 10, I'll be able to get the baseline of where you're trying to be.
We can figure it out, I think.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do it this way. It's easy. I give it an A because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Some of the episodes have been better or worse, but as a whole, A.
I love it.
I'm also giving it an A. I'm pretty sure I gave it an A when we first started too, even though it was an unpopular opinion. But I love this season so far. Just everything the cast is doing that is just. I don't even, the words are hard to come out of my mouth. That's how much I love it. All of the things happening inside the house, all of the personal conversations that we're getting that are just you can tell they're genuine. we're seeing these like new relationships form, like seeing Corey and Big T leaving on such good terms.
Yeah, that was great too.
Made my soul happy. And just, I love the majority of the dailies and the eliminations. And there's a few things that I don't like about the season, like some of the unfairness in types of pairings, but 'tis the challenge and we can't do anything about it. But I feel like they're making up for it in other things. So I'm giving it an A.
I have been sitting here and talking about this season A+ behavior. I have decided I'm going to give it an A-, but here are the reasons why before you criticize me. It has very little to do with the cast and how they're playing and what they're doing. I'll give them that. It's not these players' faults. I think the season started a little slowly. I think it was an interesting choice not to do an elimination the first episode. And the Adam and Steve consistency, as we'll call it, repetition, I think plays better on a binge than it does week by week. Week by week, you're like, come on, I need something new. But when I was binging, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Like, it was fun. The real reason for the minus, if I'm being honest, and this is solely personal preference, I wish this was on Paramount Plus. I hate having to wait till the evening. There was nothing I loved more than waking up Wednesday morning and watching an episode of the challenge. And I compliment this every single All-Star season. But the cussing. There are so many moments this season that have been bleeped out that I literally am like, no, this would have been... This scene that is a 7 out of 10 would have been a 9 out of 10 if I just heard chicken say pussy chicken or whatever. You know what? Like, it's such small things, but there's no reason this should be on MTV. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because like this whole time that we've been sitting here, my brain's like A-, no B+, no A-, no B+, no A-, no B+. So I think for the cast, A, absolutely A. For the season overall, you know, factoring in the format and, you know, the repetition, like you said, or what did you say? Consistency.
Consistency. It's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to give it a B+. I just don't like that. And same, I don't like that they moved it to MTV. I don't like that. Not only did they move it to MTV, but then they took MTV away from Canada. So like now we've got...
What?
Yeah, literally. So now there's just a whole a whole part of the fan base that you're alienating from being able to watch this season
for like no reason.
For no reason,
matey.
So yeah, you know,
you can't
I
get
just
in trouble by saying that. I promise you.
Yeah, and I also I've noticed some, you know, some little editing mistakes and little things here and there that I'm just like, okay, all right. So I'm going to go with a B+, like literally like half a point away from an A- pretty much.
I like that.
So I was sitting here thinking about it. And at first I was like, yeah, no, it is kind of an A. And then when Alex was talking, I was like, yeah, it's kind of an A-. Like it started off slow. It was kind of boring in the beginning.
We're all talking Rick down.
Yeah, and I'm like,
he's going to be like B-.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think, but
Rick's like F.
No. Here's my reason behind this. Even with that, I'm still giving it an A. And the reason I'm giving it an A is because this is the first season in a long time where I haven't sat here every fucking episode and said, the production fucked up on this, production fucked up on that. They mishandled this. What the fuck is going on? Why is there no consistency? Yeah.
That's true.
I haven't cared about any of that this season. And maybe it's because part of me is just letting it go because I know it's never going to get fixed. But you know what I mean?
No comment. I actually am one, not to cut you off. I don't want to say forgiving of production, but I understand heat of the moment. Things are out there. But I had a rant at the end of 40 that I've never experienced before because I'm normally one that like I hear about these things after and then I'll maybe go look at it. This was one I caught in the moment. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about.
We'll save that for our Patreon.
Yeah.
Bonus episodes with Alex.
Right.
But that's my thing is like, I've just completely forgotten about that. So for me to do that, it's got to be an A season. You know what I mean? So
that's a good point. And something else I've noticed is like every week I look forward to watching the episode. I'm not like, oh, I have to watch the challenge tonight. I'm like, oh shit, the challenge is on tonight. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, and it's the fact that the flagship is 90 minutes, right? But really it's like 52 minutes of episodes or 57 minutes of episodes. So you've got a half hour of ads you got to get through.
Yeah.
And it's almost like just give me the 30 minutes of ads up front so I can watch the back half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so funny. I think this season, and like I said, this is probably a bit of my view from binging it. I think this season is on and continuing to be on an upward trajectory. I think if we were to rank it at the end of the season, I think we're all going to be closer. I think we'll all be higher. Granted, we were all pretty high right now, but you get what I'm saying. We won't have these critiques as much. We're going to be like, this was awesome. I think part of me is I have to believe there was a reason they moved it to MTV. I refuse to believe that they're just like, throw it on MTV.
Yeah.
So my reason that I believe is going on is there was a lot of news about Paramount itself being sold as a company. The Viacom Paramount conglomerate of multitudes of companies being sold.
So they wanted to maybe switch it over before that happened.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think, my assumption, and I could be completely wrong, but allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I just want the cussing. It's wild that in the last 5 years, because that's when reality TV has really hit streaming, how much the bleep really like offends me now. As lame as that sounds, like I'm not a child. I want to hear what they're saying.
Hey, not for nothing, but MTV, like, there's enough shows that get stuff bleeped. Like, how are we not? How did we not bump up the rating of this?
The only time the bleep is acceptable is when it's not actually needed and it creates, the unnecessary bleeps. That's the only time it's acceptable.
That's of course a classic.
Yeah.
Like when Taylor Swift does it in her Thug Story.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really interested to ask this next question because everybody was talking about giving the cast an A. They thought the casting was great. One of the big concerns we had in the beginning looking at this was some of these pairs aren't really rivals. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So my actual question is do you think that was true and it's actually affected the gameplay? Or do you think there's been enough rivals that's created some confusion in the house?
I think the rivals theme to the season is very backseat. I think part of it is the All-Star cast is just a bit more mature. They are able to put things aside for money, even if they end up leaving here and never talking to each other again. Like Adam and Steve hated each other. And like, look how well they're working together. Like, they're just adults. We work in 9 to 5s with people we hate every day. When you're 22 years old, no, you don't want to be there with the guy you just drunkenly fought with all last season. Like, it affects your mentality and the good time you're having. Whereas I just don't think the rival aspect really wears on any of them the way that we would expect. But even like the younger people like Fessy and Amber are handling it beautifully. And so I would have been upset if you had told me at the beginning of the season, like, hey, there's only going to be a couple of rivals fights. But I think it's just interesting having a teammate that you inherently don't like a little. And I think that's just what you have to accept with it.
Well, and I think that it's also like, I think that fans kind of play into this too, because I think that when fans hear rivals, we think, of something specific, whatever that means to you, but we think of something specific. We think of like, these people really, really don't like each other, where, production will cast people. If you have one tiny little incident
on Twitter,
that's a rivalry to them. You know what I mean? You kiss one time in a darkened hallway. That's a relationship. That's an ex right there. You know what I mean? So, but I do think that like some of these people, especially some of these older castmates who don't like each other, the Veronica Katies, you know, they've been playing this game for 20 years together. They've already learned how to work through the not liking each other. You know, and I also, like I said, I think some of the rivals' issues are bigger than other ones, you know, like Jonna and Beth. That's a huge issue between those two.
So true.
So big, you know, whereas Adam and Steve, yeah, they were really pissed at each other, but it was over one tiny little thing that happened on last season.
They were
and it was
pissed,
a gameplay.
Though. I thought they were gonna...
No, they definitely were.
Spin, bitch.
I don't know if I've ever heard another grown man actually like say that to another grown man, and so that was wild to me. I thought they were going to be much more at each other's throats than they have been, and I genuinely think if they weren't public enemy number one, that they probably would be beefing more if they were having like a smoother time in the house.
I mean, mostly hive minding with Karina on this one in regards to like just the way that the pairings have been formatted. It's kind of funny because Beth and Jonna and Adam and Steve, you're sort of looking at the same time frame for when that beef went down, but it's so different. Yeah. Like Beth and Jonna, that's outside. That's bringing your real life into the game.
Irresponsible
that's like,
from production.
Yeah, that's just like really shitty. And then you've got Steve and Adam, and like I love Adam, but like Adam got his feelings hurt, and then these guys who have been friends for 20 years had a falling out for like a year, and that's something you can overcome. I think that with the rivals theme, and it even pairs with like some of the exes that are on there, it comes like it's sort of like a communication season. It's how can these people work together more so than how can they overcome a rivalry.
Okay.
And I think that's really been telling when you look at the first couple of teams to go out. They were the ones that were the least capable of communicating with one another. Unfortunately, it was female teams that
the first three teams all got in fights with their teammates.
Yeah. And then they subsequently couldn't get it together again and went home as a result, whether they, in some cases, were like,
gameplay? Should you not keep a team that's arguing with itself?
Thank you. That's what I would.
Yeah. Because ready for this? I without even looking at the Wikipedia, I know all three of those pairs were thrown in by the winning group because Steve and Adam have been the house vote every time. Yeah. And so I know that there are winners out there that were like, yeah, we're getting rid of the weakest team, which in a star-based season, you should want to keep that team.
I think it's exactly what everyone has said already. It's just not all of them are real rivals. Like, I don't hate that it's not turned out that way. I'm still enjoying the show. But I think if the first three teams were still here, we would have more rivals vibes because those were the teams that there was true, real beef. And we saw it. And now we're left with the fake pairings.
With the grown-up?
I mean, I think the only one that's not a fake pairing that's really...
Dario and Ashley, probably.
No, I don't agree with that. I think Frank and Sam, they were
a
real rivalry, but there was enough relationship prior and time since.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the difference.
I think there's a chance they could get into an argument, but I don't think it would be like game ending for them, if that makes sense.
It would not be like Battle of the Seasons at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I think Devin and Leroy were like friends. I don't care what they say. I'm pretty
they
sure
were not rivals.
They're not rivals
fucking
anymore.
way.
At one point, sure, not anymore.
Well, here's my thing. Like, so Devin and Leroy were supposed to be rivals because of what happened on Double Agents, and Leroy flipped on Devin or whatever, and Devin's so mad. And like, I know Devin plays this up. He's playing it up right now on social media about Sam and Frank sending him in, breaking the deal and all that. But in reality, I really don't think that Devin gives a shit about this stuff, and neither does Leroy. Like, they're going to play the game. They're going to make the show. They're going to make it interesting for us to watch. But I don't think that either one of them actually cares about what happened on Double Agents.
Well, and here's my thing going back to it. I know I brought it up earlier. The one pairing that still really bothers me is the Dario Ashley pairing. And the reason is while they might not get along because they're exes. And inevitably, someone that you're in a relationship with for multiple years, you're going to have better communication skills and understanding of that person than someone you just don't like.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's valid. I didn't think about it like that.
And that's where I think it plays a little bit of an unfair advantage on the way some of these rivals are set up.
We have exes for a reason. A season. Exes.
Save them for an Exes. And please, give me another Exes season.
Bring it back.
Yeah, please.
We'd love it.
Oh, I would love that.
Mhm.
Messy.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
It would be so good.
I mean, if they were on the same page to do it, I mean, it would be a shoo-in for Tori and Jordan.
Oh, and they would do it.
They would do it
totally
together.
be fine
They would
to do it.
They're waiting
Yes.
for that. They're probably waiting for that.
Praying.
Jordan's like, I'm never coming back unless you do an Exes season.
Yeah.
Because that's
Unless-
a guaranteed W.
And really, you could put me with any of my exes, and that's a guaranteed W.
While we're talking
Yeah.
about Jordan, I think part of this season's charm, and we talk about this a lot of All-Star seasons besides, the one Wes was on. No Wes, CT, Bananas, Jordan. The playing field's really open, it feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know we're going to get a new kind of winner
Uh-huh.
of some sort. And maybe not a new winner. Someone might have won previously, but it's not going to be the same guys that have won every season since season 21.
Exactly.
Basically.
Not that I don't want them, because I always want
We
them.
want variety, though.
Yeah.
We do.
It's
we
the
do.
spice of life. Anyways, so talking about Dario, Leroy, Devin, all of that, I feel like this season has built up. Like every part of the episode, like episode 1 built up, episode 2 built it up. And that goes with the fights as well. We had the Sylvia, Kellyanne, well, you have a dog, I have kids fight, which was like, oh my God, this is bringing the challenge back.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
I still don't like that one.
and then we get the next fight with Ashley and Anissa, and we're like, oh God, Millionaire Mitchell, Meltdown Mitchell, we're getting that. And now we get this.
Messy Mitchell.
I mean, the Devin Leroy Dario fight. Sorry, there's too many D's going on here.
She said.
No. The Dario, Devin, and Leroy fight, it seemed to get really intense with Dario threatening to break Devin's jaw.
Ooh.
Devin get really pompous and saying, you don't speak to a champion like that.
My goodness.
Bad breath.
Yeah.
So-
So I have one question about this.
Okay.
Is Devin a great partner, or does Devin just love to fight? What
Devin
was the
likes to
case there?
antagonize.
Yeah,
Devin
I think it was a
likes to
little more.
poke.
He likes
Yeah.
to poke.
He likes to poke.
He wasn't
Devin
sticking up
likes-
for Leroy here. He just loves to poke, I think.
He
I think
instantly
Devin likes
took-
to get people out of the game without going into elimination.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Devin instantly turned that scene into the people's court. He's like, so what you're saying is...
When it was Leroy and Dario, I was like, okay, they're going to talk this out. Dario's going to lie to him and play ignorant and stupid. But then I saw Devin walking up and I go, oh shit, this is going to get interesting. I was like, uh-oh.
It's going down for real.
So-
When Devin goes, your breath stinks. What a fucking whore. Like,
Just
how
like-
do you respond to that in a fight? You
And
can't.
that's,
You
it's
can't.
so just like jarring.
It's
It's,
so-
so like
Dario
You already lost, bro. You lost at that moment. Like
Dario
It's crazy.
responded by getting as close to Devin's face as physically possible.
Smell it.
it was giving Polly Theo.
It was. Yeah, it was.
More of an even height stance, though.
Yes.
true, very true.
Now that the dust settled about a week, well, for most of us a week, I know for you a few hours, Alex, since you've seen it.
He's so hype on
I
it
know.
still.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about this whole fight? Do you think it was a little bit too over the top? Do you think the fans are taking it a little bit too over the top? Or do you think this was the spice of life in the challenge?
I got an opinion, but I want to go last.
Oh,
Okay.
he wants to go last. He's saving it.
Okay. One of the things that I found really interesting is we didn't get Dario's actual involvement in the conversation until this week, when Devin called him out on it, and his response to Leroy was literally, if you guys go in and take out Adam and Steve, that's better for my game. And Leroy was like, what?
What?
Like, hold on.
Why wasn't that in the actual fight last week? Like, they put that in a throwaway flashback this week's episode after it's no longer relevant.
I do think they showed it last week.
They did.
I think they did too.
I completely missed where he said, that's better for my game.
He literally, after being pressed on it enough, because like I said, he denied, no, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. Yeah. People are talking, but I didn't throw out your name. That was his story. He needed to stick with it. But then when Devin started pressing him, he goes, if you guys take out Adam and Steve, that's good for my game. And instantly Leroy knew what was on. Which appreciate that from Leroy, that he wasn't like, see, he didn't say my name.
Yeah.
So
Leroy's onto it, yeah.
Dario was never going to win an argument with Devin.
No.
Like,
I'm going to break your jaw.
Devin came in with exactly what Devin always does, with just antagonizing the ever-loving shit out of Dario. And Dario couldn't hang with that, so he immediately went to violence. And was just like, I'm going to break your jaw. And Devin knew at that moment that he had him, and that's why the hands go behind his back, and he starts walking back towards him.
Yeah, that's a Johnny Bananas move. Devin's become everything he used to hate.
Welcome to the dark side.
To see himself become a villain.
That was a bit of a joke, but man, is it true
It's
the
so
more I'm
true.
thinking about it.
Honestly, as soon as you said it, I was like, yes, let the hate flow through you.
That is the stuff Devin used to champion. No, we won't do this. And now he's the one, he's got his hands behind his back. And
Oh my God. If I would have been Devin, I would have been saying some shit. I've been like, you're a pussy. Do it.
The breathtaking was a beautiful route. It was just a gorgeous, unique, creative route. It's why Devin's unmatched in these situations. I can't think of that.
Oh no. Katie, what were your thoughts? And do you feel different now a week later?
I don't know. I don't feel that. I don't feel so much different. I wonder if Dario's reaction was actually what it was, or if he amped it up because he hasn't been on TV in a while. Like, and I don't know. I don't know him. I haven't followed him since he's been on the challenge. So I don't know what he's up to, but I just have questions. So could he have been that angry? Sure. But I just wonder, because we have seen that side of him in the past. So I just have questions.
Can I ask you a question? Like a follow-up to what you said?
Me?
I know that's the concept of a question, but I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're no problem. When you say that it's because Dario hasn't been on TV for a while, do you mean that he's trying to give himself enough of a storyline to come back? Or do you mean that he's in a situation that he's not used to anymore and he's completely flustered and Devin got the better of him in that situation because he's not thinking things through as much as he could otherwise?
I'm saying it could be both. Like, or which is it?
Yeah.
Because I could see it being either.
Or it could be the triple threat of he is a man-child that is
That too.
handles stuff with the emotional balance of a 5-year-old.
Interesting thought. Interesting thought.
There's so many different angles.
I like where your head's at.
It's the trifecta. It could be all three. We don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Green, what do you think?
Gracious.
All right. So I'm just going to throw a couple of things out. As far as the actual fight, don't talk to a champ that way. Corny as fuck, Devin. Corny as fuck, bro. You are my favorite person ever on the challenge,
like
and especially
Big Brother.
Especially because like of all the support and love that you show us. So like, but it was corny, bro. Dario, what?
I was just going to say, can I say, just to add on to what Alex said about Devin becoming like bananas, you can see like Devin is the love child of Bananas and Wes, because that's a Wes line right there.
Oh my God.
It's
So
Bananas and Wes had a
is.
baby.
Yeah.
It's
It's
Devin.
so a Wes line.
That's so
corny,
funny.
super corny. But it pissed Dario off, so it worked.
It worked.
As far as Dario is concerned, in my opinion, if you have to resort to threats or violence, you lose. You've automatically lost. It doesn't matter. He could have hit Devin and broken his face, and I would still say Dario lost.
Yeah.
Dario lost that fight, bro, because that's not what it was about. You know, Devin definitely outmaneuvered and outtalked him. As far as what's happened since then, first of all, I think the fans need to just fucking calm their titties a little bit, because all y'all do is complain about how the show is boring. And then when we get fed drama and we continue to be fed drama on social media, you guys then want to go and bash these guys and tell them how much they suck and tell Dario he's a fucking pussy and tell Devin he's a crybaby. And even if all of those things are true, they're still feeding us drama. So just sit back and enjoy it. Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, just let them give us the drama.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't usually talk about this, but I think if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to understand this analogy real quick. There is a lot of kayfabe that goes on with the challenge at all times.
Yeah.
It is a lot of, I think, carryover of I'm going to put on a good show. And the best way to put on a good show is to keep it going even when the show's not on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they got that from Johnny Bananas.
The cameras are never off type deal.
Exactly, especially with social media. And if I'm going to lock into this character as a Johnny Bananas, as a Wes Bergmann, as a Devin, I'm going to try to carry as much excitement for this show as possible.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my view on it.
All press is good press.
Exactly.
The true new era.
With everything said here, I'm going to just go with the all around triple threat that we discussed earlier for Dario.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most reasonable answer to this whole situation.
This is why this is so interesting of a fight. Is all of you are right and all of you are wrong at the same time. Everything you all said is 100% correct, but you've left out the key factor here. This is a real life personal drama between Leroy and Dario. And how many times have we actually said Leroy's name in this fight? Devin came in and was a champion this whole thing and agitated. So this is a place of Dario is a man-child and not that smart and not good at the game, as I pointed out before. He did say Leroy's name, which is a horrible idea for him to do. There's no reason for him to do it. Leroy and him have a very personal connection, and Leroy in this moment needed to talk to Dario alone to sort through what happened here so Leroy can decide how to move on. But Devin, being the rival shit stirrer that he is, and this is, whether you call it camera time or wanting to get back on the show, Devin loves a good fight. He uses it strategically to his advantage, so it's hard to be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. He's good at swinging a fight in his favor. So the only reason this blew up into anything is that Leroy and Devin are attached at the hip. Devin has no pony in this race. This has nothing. This has Leroy and Dario have the relationship. Devin should have zero care if Dario is out saying his name. Those two don't like each other. But Devin gets to step on his soapbox because he's like, how dare you do this to your real life personal friend, my partner? How dare you do that to my partner who's your real life personal friend? You and I don't have that relationship, but how dare you? It's the perfect situation for Devin where then he gets to say, you don't get to yell at a champ or whatever. Like, he has no stake in this fight, and it allows Devin to say shit like, your breath stinks, bro, because this has nothing to do with Devin. This is a real, the reason this was so interesting to me is because I didn't know this about Leroy and Dario in the beginning, and when they showed it in the Vegas, and he's like, he got me my first job, I was like, I love that shit. Didn't know that. That is so cool. Good for them. I love the network and when they can be friends outside the show like that. And then it quickly devolved into this. And I just sat there being like, I have a feeling if Devin didn't step in here, these two maybe could have talked this out.
it might have went different. Yeah, no,
it might have gone really different. But love the fight. I'm not sitting here saying it shouldn't have happened. I'm just listing the ways that it probably shouldn't have happened.
No, that's a great point, because the focus point of that fight has definitely been Devin and Dario, but the relationship that was truly affected was Leroy's.
Yeah, and I'd be upset if I was Leroy.
Yeah, nobody is talking about Leroy, and he really had no control over the situation, you know.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's a good point. Damn.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a part where we get to finally kind of put the spotlight on some of the people we haven't been able to talk about yet. And that's, you know, seeing how the season's played out, we've gotten kind of the underdog role where all of a sudden you get a really big episode like we're seeing now with like Veronica and Katie. And then you've got the people that have the consistent choice of Adam and Steve just in one after another, 4 straight eliminations, and then they finally get some power and maybe turning it around. What teams are you think are starting to hit their hot streak? Which ones do you think are kind of losing momentum, and which ones do you think are going to make the final? And I'm going to go ahead and start this off with you.
Oh, nice. Okay. Shoot. I mean,
now she's like, I'm not ready.
Sorry, now I'm trying to compile all my thoughts into what you asked.
Do you want me to say it again?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I think I started touching on this earlier, but I think one of the teams that I've actually kind of, you know, noticed a bit of a decline was, Bamber and Fessy. And I think this season is so difficult too, because it is so short that it's like you see 2 or 3 dailies, and that's like damn near half the season. So you kind of have to then make a judgment point, off of that point. Judgment call from that point. So, you know, we saw them do so good in that. I think, what was it, the second date? I mean, they did really good in the first one too,
and
then
2 dailies actually.
Swinging and
and so but then it's like, they kind of struggled on this one, and just the last couple, the trivia one. So I feel like they're starting to decline, and I was not expecting that. Frank and Sam, for me, are definitely the ones on the rise. Like I did not think that. I honestly thought that they would be one of the early ones to go home.
Same.
Just because of, first of all, they haven't been on in a while. Like the last time we saw Frank was not very good. So that would have been a great excuse for the cast to just get rid of him. And then they weren't competing very well. So I was just like, oh, they're not going to, but all of a sudden they're almost the team to beat in the house socially and in the dailies.
It's crazy.
And I think that we gave a lot of credit to Veronica for episode 6, but like Frank has been running the social game, like the whole the rest of the season, other than episode 6. So I really feel like they're on the rise. The ones that are kind of shocking me the most, that I was expecting to do good and they haven't done good, but they also haven't done bad, is Nani and Turbo. Like what are they? Where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Eating blueberries.
Getting everybody else sick.
Getting everybody sick. Apparently Turbo he was trying to learn German while he was filming, because he was leaving straight from All Stars to go film some other show in Germany. And so he had cards, with
flashcards.
Yeah, flashcards to learn German. And I guess the cast was just done with his ass by the end of
To be fair, they've been done with him for a while.
They have, yeah.
He was going to Germany to film on ESPN the Ocho, another round of pillow fighting in Germany. Alex, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you. I think that the Amber and Fessel situation is really interesting, because depending on how they finish this second half of the season, it'll be very curious to see if maybe they should have made a play to try to get themselves in to get a star at one point. Maybe not even against Adam and Steve, but there was other star holders. They didn't. I mean, we saw one episode where it looked like they were about to do something and then they backed down. So they are a team that I thought was going to come in here and dominate. And I agree with you. I think they're losing steam. I think that Ashley and Dario could have snuck under the radar and done something big, but I think this mid-season hiccup is going to hurt them. I think they're going to see a lot more eliminations coming up here soon. So I think they're out too. Nani and Turbo's interesting because I think it proves like a really interesting challenge concept that we've talked about many times, like for like years now. And it's that Nani will never win the challenge. It's sad because she wants it so badly, and you can see it, you can hear it in her voice. And every season she's on, I can never see the path for her to win. Yeah. Even when she's with Turbo right now, which was going to be the one time War of the Worlds. That was when two? Yeah, two. Or no, there was one.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, War of the Worlds 1. Yeah.
She was going to win that with Turbo. They were going to win that. And now that they're back together all these years later, it's just not clicking for them. They even have a star. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not even in the final at the end. You know what I mean?
No, agreed.
That's a good point.
It's wild to see. There's many teams here that I feel like could beat them. And I feel like we shouldn't feel that way about Nani and Turbo. And then Katie and Veronica are ones that I think we maybe just saw their peak. So I'd be curious to see where it goes from here. And then the stars of the season, will they, won't they? Adam and Steve. I think they're just, I actually think if they were going to get a footing, I think they've just done it. I think now that we've seen how stars are up for grabs, we're going to see more star holders in eliminations, and hopefully that frees up spots for them. I weirdly want to see Steve more than Adam, I guess. Adam's fine, but like Steve being so close last season, he's another one. Like Nani, you can hear it in his voice right now. Like he really wants this win.
I think he's sick of doing the hand job model. Sorry, that was the one time I was going to throw it in there.
It's perfect timing. Yeah. Perfect timing. But the field feels open. Frank and Sam on the upswing too. Agree with that.
I think the biggest ones that have surprised me so far that I thought were going to do better are Nani and Turbo. Like,
it's crazy.
It really is. They're the ones that I really expected to like just come out swinging, and they just keep kind of like falling flat. And I don't know why. It makes me so sad. Like, I agree with what you said, Alex, that like as much as I want Nani to win, this is why. And it makes me so sad because she's in my list of people that I just want to win so badly, with like Corey Wharton, Leroy, Anissa, Nani. I'm sure there's probably someone else, but like those ones are my big four that they haven't gotten one. And they always get so close, and then it just slips through their fingers. So it's just been, I don't want to say disappointing because it hasn't been disappointing, but it's been sad or disheartening.
At a certain point, it's hard to watch. Leroy 0-15, Anissa
0-15. They're tied.
I think they're
Leroy
tied.
And Anissa are
I didn't
tied.
want to say that. I think they're tied though, and it's like, oh damn, like
Anissa's done more than 15 seasons.
They just tied. They just tied. I don't know, but I just saw the thing. I didn't save it, but
okay,
no, it's fine.
You don't have to go
into
look
that
for
same
it.
category as those two.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the teams you have on the rise?
Oh, I actually think Dario and Ashley still have a chance. I actually really like Ashley, and she's someone I've always liked. I feel like she's someone who she doesn't get her full personality shown on TV all the time.
I think she's a regular person compared to the rest of these
like
people.
Yes, exactly. And I know that there's a fire in her, and I could see her, especially like she kind of held it in, but you could see like she took it graciously when she like not agreed, but when she didn't throw anybody else in and put her name out there. But I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Squirrel brain. Bing, bing. It's fine. Everything's fine. But Ashley and Dario, I really think that they're going to come back stronger. But I could see this being their like.
I think they're a strong team,
beginning to the end. But I don't know. I feel like they're both feisty, and I think it might just light a fire under them.
I think if Ashley Kay was with almost anyone else, she'd be one of my top contenders to win.
They could have done her and Zach. if they're going with exes, like
her
instead of
and
rivals.
Zach would have won. That would have been a powerhouse of a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick before you get into your joke.
Oh no,
No, I'm not. I can't say this one because you would have to edit it out, and I don't want
okay,
you to do
then
that.
we'll just leave it to the listener's imagination. Really quick, I just want to clear up, what we were just talking about with Anissa and Leroy. So with this season, Elisa.
I think you mean Victoria.
Leroy.
Leroy. Yeah, I did all fucked up.
All of our pet names we've been giving this season. I had Nerbo.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that again.
They have been going Nerbo this whole season.
Nerbo.
That was good. That was really good.
Well played, sir. Well played. Strategic AF.
Okay, so Anissa and Leroy with this season have consolidated their position as the male and female challengers with the most consecutive challenge losses. So she's in first for the females. He's in first for the guys, pretty much. Leroy's is 15.
Oh, sorry.
Leroy's is 15. Anissa's is 19. Nani is in third place with 12. Corey is in fourth with 11. And then Darrell is tied with him in fourth, also with 11 seasons consecutive, no wins. And then we've got Nelson, Beth, and Katie all with 10 seasons.
Well, we know Beth is never getting out of that hole, so.
Yeah, but Beth's not going to hit 19 is the thing.
Yeah.
We, as a society, should realistically talk about 0 and 19. Like, what that means. I
don't think we should.
I
don't think we should
talk about it, to be honest.
I'm sorry. I'm just a little mind blown by that. I was really discouraged when I heard Leroy's 0 and 15.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking she was going to be maybe 1, 2 more. But 0 and 19 feels heavy, is all I'll say.
It's very heavy.
Reminds me of every trip the Falcons make to the playoffs and don't win a Super Bowl.
I'm a Lions fan, so let me tell you, I know a little thing about 0 and 16 seasons or whatever.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Tony.
Yeah, we can move on from that. Sorry, that's like making my
No
brain
worries.
hurt.
Yeah. Tony, I'm keeping with the stocks theme. Who are you buying? Who are you selling?
As far as non-entities this season, I'd have to give it to Nerbo. And
Are selling or buying? I'm sorry.
I'm getting rid of.
Fucking drop it. Basement prices.
Free.
Also, Nicole and Melissa.
Oof.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention
And also,
about them.
the team that nobody has spoken about this entire episode, despite the fact that they kind of had a story arc, Shane and Devon.
My
Oh.
God.
They are kind of on the rise, especially like within their team, their partnership. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was really important for them to sit down and have that,
Agreed.
that discussion.
Especially where there's almost no one else left.
I think they're going to pick up the strategicness that Katie and Veronica were doing in the second half here.
They are hold the phone. Hold the phone for a second, because Shane and Devon are fucking Tony. I got the phone.
Yeah, that was
Shane, I almost said Shane and Tony. Shane and Devon
Go team.
are flying so far under the radar that the cast isn't really paying attention to them. But we, as massive fans, also are not noticing them. That's some gameplay, honestly. Like, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or if it's just, how it's going. But
I think that's Shane's style, though, honestly.
Yeah,
that's true.
100%.
And they, as they clearly pointed out, they're connected to both sides of the house, which can be a double-edged sword, though. You have to play it right. My worry is, we were talking about like Katie and Veronica, like even if they make it far, are they going to get that star? This is a team I worry would be on the harder side of getting a star when it's up for grabs.
Yeah. And it seems like Frank and Shane might come to
There's
blows
next
this
time
week,
on.
like
Yeah.
this next time on.
Ooh, yeah.
As far as like teams that I'm actually really interested in, I am going to put Fessy and Amber back in the mix, but from the point of view of like, I've been looking at Frank and Sam, Adam and Steve, and Amber and Fessy from the point of view of social game, dailies, eliminations. Those are the teams that seem to be excelling in each. And based on the format, if a star comes up for grabs again, it seems more likely that out of the non-star holders, that it's going to be Fessy and Amber that pick that up.
That's smart.
More so than some of the other teams that are still kicking around. My ideal sort of like...
That's really astute.
I'd try. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. I would like to see in the final, I would like to see Frank and Sam. I would like to see Adam and Steve. Inevitably, Dario and Ashley are probably going to be there. I can see Fessy and Bamber, but the Dario and Ashley, Fessy and Bamber, I can also see being replaced with a Turbo and Nani, not because they are doing well, but because people seem to have forgotten that they're there and that they have a star.
Yeah.
So I think what might happen is we're going to get to the end where they're like, the 4 star holders are going to go to the final now, and then they realize that Nani and Turbo have their bags packed and they're ready to go.
What I like about having the 4 stars from the start of the season, though, is they should know there's 4 more eliminations.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing I'm going to bring up that I don't think anyone has really said about this is I think that Melissa and Nicole are actually in a really good spot because they are right middle line. Nobody can understand what the fuck they're saying, so they're not a social threat. And they have the best odds physically, I think, to win a daily if a star becomes available and not get thrown in.
More than Amber and Fessel?
I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to win and they're going to put a star holder in, like an Adam or Steve, and they're going to look around and say the only team that's going to beat them and put a star open for us to win is going to be a Fessy Amber.
I see what you're mapping out there.
Fessel has shown that he is great in dailies. He has shown that unless it is a physical elimination, he is moderately good.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't have a lot of faith in Fessel when it's not something physical.
True.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm agreeing with most of you guys. I'm selling on, pretty much everyone except for Melissa and Nicole. I think Veronica and Katie have hit their peak.
Yeah.
I think that I could see Dario actually going either way, but I just feel like people have noticed that they won, so they're going to become a target now. They're an easy vote.
Well, and they watched him betray Leroy. That's the number one reason to get them out the house.
But I think Tony, and I agree with you, Alex, excellent point on Devon and Shane. Yeah. I think they have kind of played a low-key game, and this is where Shane might start to shine.
You know what's funny is we talked so much about the exes, Ashley and Dario, but Melissa and Nicole are exes too.
Oh, yeah.
They feel more rivals than exes, though.
Well, yeah, and they didn't really date, did they?
I think
they were challenge exes.
Yeah.
They kissed a little.
Yeah. So going on to kind of like the next subject is, as far as with all-stars, we've kind of danced around the subject as far as like, are these really all-stars or are we just casting anyone now? But it does seem like half the cast is actual all-stars worthy. Do you think they're competing and holding up on their end against these other, like, basically flagship players?
Oh, interesting. My vote's yes at the moment. I do think the challenge designs have played a bit of a part of this. It's clearly not the flagship challenge design. So I think that makes a difference. But I think Adam and Steve, who are, some of the oldest there, would hold their own against Amber, Fessel. We just saw Big T and Corey. Devin and Leroy are out. So yeah, I mean, it feels like it right now.
I mean, when you look at it, like your 2 most OG teams of Adam and Steve and Katie and Veronica, they're still there. They've outlasted teams that on paper, as far as like new era versus old school, should have gone out. Like Adam and Steve are just hanging out with TJ down in the sand, sending anybody home who comes up against them.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie and Veronica, I don't know that their name has even been really shopped around based on how they've played the game.
Until this episode.
Exactly. So whether that's a matter of them, like Alex said, playing from the bottom, or whether that's a matter of their strategic gameplay, or both. But I think that these guys have a better understanding of the game as a whole. A lot of the other teams, like some of the newer teams, they have a better idea of how to play the more competition forward challenge, because they're not able to kind of adapt back to these dailies that are more of like a broader scope, that there are different ways to play. They're a lot better at, you have to go from point A to point B to do C to get D.
The flagship has gotten a little formulaic in how people have been winning, where this feels very, even though we've seen one team in so many eliminations, it feels all over the place strategy-wise.
I feel like I don't have much more to say on this.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. No, that was a really...
Sorry, I broke it.
No, it was good. I agree.
No, good.
Ditto is what I want to say to that.
Yes, ditto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to this either. The only thing that I will add is I just to kind of, play off of what you guys are talking about with the flagship versus the All-Stars, I find it very interesting that on season 40, we had all these different eras, and the newer players ate the OGs up. They ate them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. And then the new players come on to All-Stars, where there's more OGs than there are new players. They have longer standing relationships and alliances and friendships, and a completely different format that these newer players aren't used to. And not only that, but these modern players like the Devins and, Melissas and Nicoles, they're used to those like 12 weeks of filming to play the game. And they're now getting thrown in a situation where you have to play it a lot quicker and a lot faster. And they're not used to that.
You gotta be on your toes.
You gotta be on your toes. You gotta make moves fast, because you only have 10 episodes. Yep. You only have 10 dailies, 10 eliminations. That's it. You don't have 16 anymore, 18 anymore. Yeah. So you have to speed the game up. It's like literally getting put in like 2 times speed at this point. And I think that throws a lot of the modern players off. Whereas the OGs, they're used to playing quick, because they used to only get 30-minute episodes and 9 episodes a season. And that was all they got.
All they got.
I think that plays into it too.
Really interesting.
You brought this up.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go.
This is kind of what I was talking about with Amber and Fessel and their decision to not go for the star when they've had the 2 opportunities.
Yeah.
Is they're used to a longer game where they're like, no, we're going to wait. Granted, you probably don't want to do that round 2. You know what I mean? That's probably too early. But the second time you do it, you got to start questioning, like, how many times are we going to be in this spot? So I'm really curious to see if that bites them in the butt, sort of waiting.
Agreed. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, especially with, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think it's going to be really interesting to see, because their original show that they're from runs longer than any other reality TV show. So how does that play into their timing of when's the right time to make a move?
Right.
Yes.
It makes me think too, Karina, you've brought it up a lot before when we talk about the differences between All-Stars and the flagship and what we like better format style. Like, do we like the shorter filming seasons versus the longer filming seasons? And honestly, I like the shorter ones.
Yeah.
Because so much more is happening.
I think there is a nice, easy cut in the middle that you can make at about 14 episodes.
Yeah.
Is the perfect amount.
Yeah.
About 90 days of TV for us.
Well, and you guys want to know a very interesting stat? I'm taking your stats and info hat here really quick,
shit.
Tony. All the top rated challenge seasons, like the Duel, Rivals, Rivals 2, guess how many episodes they are? 13 to 15. Yeah. Right there in the middle.
Yep.
We don't need 23. Give me more than 10, but less than 23.
And if you gave us 13 to 15 episodes, then we could have bonus episodes like the shit they should have shown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can have longer bonus clips just of whatever.
Well, and you know what else I really miss? Sorry, last thing, and then I'll let you move on to your final question. But the other thing I miss, along with like shit they should have shown, I miss the after show where they would go and do the little, interviews. And I think they tried to do this. I don't remember what season it was, but they did it with, I think it was for Worlds because it was like Devin Simone was the
Devin
global.
Simone did it, yeah.
Right, she was
it
like
was just on like YouTube or something.
Exactly. Why can't we do that? That's so much fun. Like, so I don't know. That's how I'm feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, final question. I think this is the biggest format change that we were all hoping we would see, especially after seeing what we saw in All Stars 4, is the new way that stars are handed out, where they're not necessarily handed out at all. You have to win them. You have to earn them. It's almost a skull type scenario. And I want to know how you feel about the way how it's affecting this competition, how you think it's going to affect this competition going forward. Do you also think that this is something that should be brought back for future seasons now that they're implementing it this way?
That's interesting. I'll jump in just really quick. First of all, I love the change to the stars. I think that making the stars into a situation where you have to earn it. You have to win it in a daily. You have to win an elimination. You can't be given it by one of your allies if they win a second star. If you're already a star holder and you beat someone in an elimination and get another star, you don't get to keep it. You just get to stay in the game. That's your prize. Congratulations. So I really like that part. I would like to see that if they look, I honestly don't really care about the stars, but if they're insistent on doing this like stars or skulls thing, this is how I want to see it. I think the only thing that's still kind of racking my brain about these stars is what happens when two non-star holders go into elimination.
That's why it's boring.
You just stay, like you don't earn a star, and I think that's really interesting.
There.
Yeah, and I think that that's really interesting too, because one of the things that I didn't like about the skulls is that there was an unlimited number of skulls. No matter what the situation was, you got a skull if you won an elimination. I like that there are 4 stars, and if you don't get one of those, you don't get that person in an elimination, or you don't make it available for a daily. You don't have a shot at it, and there can be people who are legitimately shut out from the final by just not allowing them an opportunity to go into elimination and get a star.
I want to build on that, so I'll jump in here, as I often do. I think that the star mechanism that they've done, because correct me if I'm wrong, they've done some version of it every All-Star season?
Yeah.
And so
I think just
maybe not in the first one.
At least the last two?
At least the last 2 or 3. I could be wrong.
I think 3 was the only one that they didn't have some type of.
All Stars 1, I don't think they had stars on the very first one.
I misspoke, but a decent number of them.
But I think 3, 4, and 5 did, but I think 1 and 2 didn't. But anyway.
Yes. I am not normally a fan of the skull, the whatever, or the star mechanism, but they have taken essentially the star mechanism they've been doing a few times and the skulls, and they've combined them, the best parts of each of them. The fact that the skulls, anytime anyone won an elimination and got a skull, was a big hindrance to the gameplay, because it increased such an element of randomness, where now what they have here is there are 4 tickets to the final that were given out in episode 1. I love that we didn't dole these out over the first 4 episodes like they have in the past, where they're like, they dole it out at the elimination, like you won, here's your star now that you won this elimination. They gave them in the beginning, and the only way you can get them is by beating a star holder or when a star's up for grabs that daily. It is the best of both worlds, and it's honestly the first time I've ever really liked this format and would want to see it again, because especially now that they know what it is, it encourages so much more planning and strategic of how do we get a star up for grabs?
Yeah.
Which team do we want to put in? Who's going to lose their star? Do we have to go 2 stars? Can we do 1 person and they take their star? But the fact, and I absolutely love, this is very Circle-esque, the 4 names just plastered on the wall for everyone to stare at. You know what you have to do. It's staring you in the face. Beat them or get them into an elimination.
Yep.
And I think it is going to hurt a lot of teams that it took them almost 5 eliminations to figure this out.
So I mean, I agree with absolutely everything that's been said in regards to this. The thing that I find interesting is you have the opportunity to put yourself in and take a star.
Yes.
You also have the opportunity to put 2 star holders in head to head if you think that you're better at dailies than you are at eliminations. And you still are able to continue in the game. Whereas the skulls were like, you need to go into elimination. You need to take somebody out. And that's not necessarily what makes or breaks a challenger. And I don't think that you should have to go into elimination every single time if you're able to find another way to work within the game mechanics. The only thing that I will say in support of the stars from last All-Stars is the irony is, if it wasn't for how stupid they were, we wouldn't have our best rivals team in this season.
Steve.
Because it all came down to Steve taking Adam's star. But now,
which was a wild decision in retrospect.
Yeah, it absolutely was. But this is how it should be. I think if they're going to do some mechanic like this is what it should be. This is how they should do it. And I agree, knock them out in episode 1 and put their faces on the wall. Those are the people that are going to the final unless you do something about it.
Correct. Yes. It's like taunting them almost. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
I really don't have much more to add. I feel like there's not more to say. Like, my favorite part of this is that they have to earn it.
Yeah.
I love that they can't just, like everyone else has said, just willy-nilly give them to their friends because they're friends. Like, whether you win it in the elimination or the daily, you have to win it. And that's my favorite part of it.
No.
Other than that, Heisman.
No,
Glitter.
And it's
old school.
And it's true. It is hive mind on this because everything you guys are saying, I'm agreeing with. The one thing I'll just highlight, and I think you guys have all kind of mentioned it, is I think the most important part is that you don't have to go into an elimination to get a star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because to me, part of the concept of the game is stay out of the elimination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's what makes me say, if they want to do this in the future, I'm okay with it because it rewards both. It doesn't reward just going into elimination.
Right.
Because both are valid strategies.
They
Exactly.
are. Yeah.
Totally.
Because look, we're going to have these debates coming up, but I think Jordan might have played the most masterful game I have ever seen on season 40.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
He did.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
You know what I mean? So, and we're going to have the debate on who's had the greatest season, and that's going to be up there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was originally the final question, but I've got one last final question before we let everybody go, because I know it's getting late. You're getting ready to train to go on the challenge. And all of a sudden you see available on Patreon or Only Dads or whatever the fuck subscription service that you can subscribe.
That's our OnlyFans spinoff for dads.
Yeah, Only Dads.
Yeah, I should have
Only Dads.
You go on there, they show you how to fix plumbing issues
Exactly.
and HVAC issues.
Brilliant.
It
If
only
you need
makes
to chop
sense.
wood,
Yeah.
It's only plans.
I don't want to watch my actual dad, so this is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. You never wear stripes with two different directions, okay?
Learned that the hard way as a kid.
Yeah.
Only one direction.
So you're getting ready to go on the challenge. And you see that there's two challengers that are offering classes on
Master classes.
Yeah. So you got the choice of Katie's master class or CT's pro tips. Which one are you subscribing to? You can only subscribe to one.
I got my answer if no one else is ready.
You can go for
You know what?
it.
I'm going to let Katie go first because she always says hive mind.
Yeah.
So Katie, go
Thank
first.
you. I'm going CT
Oh.
because I feel like I would need his like fly under the radar esque vibes, and I don't know. I feel like he's a good coach. I really do. Like, even over all the years with just the little tips and conversations he has and the things we hear from cast members about, like, even things we don't see with CT behind the scenes. CT.
I do not mean this as an insult in any way, shape, or form, but CT plays one game. And if I were ever to get in the challenge, that would not be my game. Me and CT are not built the same. So I'm actually going to go with Katie. Her tips would be more valuable for the game that I would be trying to play.
I like that. Okay.
So I have to hive mind with Alex for the exact same reason. The CT pro tips are super valuable if you play a CT game,
a Jordan,
or if you haven't watched the challenge.
Oh.
That's valid.
Katie, as Alex has mentioned, is currently playing from the bottom. So these pro tips, like, that's where I'm going to be playing from if I play the challenge. So that's where I need the tips. I don't need the tips from the 30,000 foot view looking at it from the winner's circle because I'm not there.
That's not going to be me.
That's interesting.
I'm not that guy.
That's honestly like such an interesting way to thinking about it, because like when I first thought about it, my first instinct was I'm definitely going CT pro tips because, and again, no offense meant, but Katie's tips haven't helped her win or anything. So, and that's what I'm there for, is winning. So I think I'm going to go with the 5-time champ. And I'm going to listen to whatever the fuck the goat tells me to do is what I'm going to do. Okay. Like I will make it work. Valid. But you guys got a good point too. So I don't know, man. I'm going to have to stay loyal to CT. Obviously, I'm going to go to his class. Even if I don't learn anything, at least I get to meet CT. So like I'm going to his class.
We got a hot
it's
teacher.
online only. You're getting carried away.
He'll do like group meetups and stuff. It'll be fine. Yeah. We'll go on cruises, you know, like... No.
Speaking of.
But yeah, so.
With no beard?
What are you doing?
Not shaving my beard.
Yeah, please don't pull a Brad.
Don't confuse me anymore.
If he was a pirate, he could be Lackbeard.
I'm never going on the fucking challenge, so it really doesn't matter. But
you asked the question, and now he's like, doesn't matter.
Look, but because of that, I'm going to subscribe to CT's pro tips because I feel like they'd be more entertaining. So
that's very true.
He is funny. Yeah.
He is on the Mount Rushmore of most entertaining.
That's true.
He would tell me, you just got to go in and win that elimination. I go, CT, you're missing the whole point. I'm not going to win that elimination.
I need you to tell me step by step how to win that elimination.
I really hope one of the pro tips is like, you know what I mean?
Just mumble. No one know what you're saying.
When do I say that?
You know,
look at us bringing the content that people want.
Oh, that's good.
I think that should mean we're calling this a wrap. I think we've covered pretty much everything it is.
Nice little bow.
I think we're all laughing at us all grunting like that.
Yeah, we're all just becoming delirious at this point. Yeah,
sorry guys.
With that being said, I want to leave it open if anybody has anything else to say before I start closing this out.
Great season.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Looking forward to the second half.
Yes, me too.
Same here.
Absolutely.
Same here.
All right. Well, let's get this done.
Yeah.
So.
Get her done.
Get her done.
Sorry.
That should be the
Your
ending
mouth
right
didn't
there.
move when you said that.
It
was very confusing.
It's like Mater.
Told Mater. She only wants me for my body.
What's the line? You know the line. Never mind. Let's not digress any further.
I get low on the Papa Mau Mau. Every time Rick loses it. Every time we hear that stupid line.
Oh, God. All right.
I'd get pretty low on the Mau Mau.
You know what? That is a great segue because one of the things that Alex covers on his own podcast, Two Dudes Watch Cartoons.
Amazing.
Is movies, anime.
Yes.
Anything really as far as breakdowns as movies, TV shows, all of that. So if you have an opportunity or you haven't done it yet, go check him out. We'll have him linked below.
Yes.
And Alex, as always, we want to thank you so much for hopping on. It's always an absolute pleasure to have you come on for the mid-season. The only unfortunate thing about this is I don't know when we're going to see you next because we're going to have an extended break until 41 airs.
Well, if you guys remember, I came on one off season. So if we got any off season,
you just want to come hang out with us sometime.
I'll just come chill. Maybe just watch as you guys record. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Oh yeah, just sit back, relax.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. In the back room, I'll just be down there.
Hover.
You and Cindy can do an audio commentary on the podcast.
It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect. No, I always appreciate that since I've been coming on here every mid-season, you guys let like the biggest nerd come and talk about this like super athletic show. So I appreciate you guys. I always have a blast coming on.
No, we really do love having you on. You give us a different perspective that we kind of look past on most episodes, and you kind of bring it into a different perspective for us. Yeah. And we're eternally grateful for you giving us the opportunity to hop on and to continue doing so, knowing how off subject we can get at times. So I appreciate that.
The problem is it's always my fault. So
you say that, but it happens when you're not here too.
I was going to say, so it's your fault when you're not here too.
It's the influence. Yeah, that's how strong I'm like Katie and Veronica. Affecting things in rooms I'm not even in.
You'll start to understand Melissa and Nicole when they talk. All right, before we digress any further, for myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes, for Tony, Stats and Info Lance, Katie Bad Blood Pahura, and of course, Alex Brizard, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, we're like 2 hours in. What the fuck are you doing? Subscribe, bro. Also, like the video and all that other stuff.
Do all the things.
Yeah, do all the things. We love y'all. Have a great night.
Ooh. Later.
Oh, bye.
Bye.